breaking news into the Fanfare news feed.
All right, everybody. Good afternoon on a Saturday evening. Before we get to the show, we've got some breaking news. It looks like a full-scale war has broke out in Iran. Got a couple reports here that I want to show you from Fox News that came in a little while ago.
And any word of further U.S. strikes, any further retaliation as a result of these deaths, Lucas?
John, it's likely those strikes are being carried out as we speak. It's nightfall here in Tel Aviv. It's 11 p.m. here in Tel Aviv, 11:30 in Tehran. Those strikes are likely happening as we speak. We've also seen some more activity from the U.S. naval blockade. Now 5 ships have been forced to reverse course. We saw the U.S. Marine Corps boarding a tanker in the trying to make a run for Karg Island. That ship was disabled. We also saw the Marines board another ship, a sanctioned vessel that was had the capability to carry over 2 million barrels of oil. But there's no question, John, not just the blockade, but the war has resumed. These are major combat operations. It all started last week when Iran attacked those 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz. And it says something, John, that the U.S. Navy has not sailed any warships through the Strait of Hormuz in at least 2 months. So there is some likely going to be strikes this evening, and also a reminder to everyone of the presence of the U.S. Air Force throughout the Middle East, certainly here in Israel, where additional fighter squadrons are coming in, as well as refueling planes. In fact, when we landed at Ben Gurion Airport, the international airport here in Israel, in Tel Aviv, we saw a number of those refueling planes. And President Trump, let's remember how we got here, John. Tried the diplomatic route, the memorandum of understanding. Sent his vice president. Department has just issued a brand new worldwide caution urging Americans to think twice about any travel to the Middle East. It was released just about 40 minutes ago on the travel.gov website. Due to heightened tensions in the Middle East, the security environment remains complex with the potential for unseen escalation. And that's exactly what we saw in neighboring Jordan, John, last night when Iran fired multiple intermediate-range ballistic missiles that made it through U.S. air defense systems, hit a base in Jordan with dozens of U.S. Air Force personnel at the base, F-16s, F-15s, F-35 stealth fighter jets. We know from U.S. Military Central Command that there are at least 2 U.S. service members killed in action. 1 remains missing, as you mentioned. Also, 4 others were wounded. Also want to remind viewers that earlier today, before this news about the recent casualties in Jordan, there were 13 American troops wounded just earlier this week, John, as Iran has stepped up its attacks on neighboring Gulf countries, Bahrain, in Jordan, and certainly in Kuwait, where we saw a desalination plant get hit, a power plant get hit for Kuwaitis drinking water. And why are they attacking Kuwait, John? We have a lot of U.S. assets there. We have U.S. Army firing HIMARS, surface-to-surface missiles from Kuwait. We also have Ali Salim Air Base, major transit point. Bahrain is home of the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet. And in Jordan, a major U.S. Air Force presence. From a lot of our viewers, we've been focusing primarily on the Navy over the last 4 months of this war. But there's a large U.S. Air Force presence, certainly here in Israel.
All right, so Iran has somehow struck a Jordanian base, I believe. CENTCOM put this out earlier. A U.S. CENTCOM statement on recently fallen missing U.S. service members. On July 17th, that would be yesterday, 2 U.S. service members in Jordan were killed in action as U.S. Central Command and partner forces defended against Iranian ballistic missile and drone attacks. Additionally, 1 service member is currently missing. 4 American service members were medically evacuated to Jordanian hospitals. They have since been discharged, thank God. Other personnel who were evaluated for minor injuries have returned to duty. Out of respect for the family, CENTCOM will withhold additional information, including the identity of the fallen warriors, until 24 hours after the next of kin have been notified. So at this point, this isn't what I had planned for the show. SV is obviously going to be following this for any updates to see what's going on. I'll check to him in a second. But this is bad. This is really bad. So right now, obviously, we should be praying for the American soldiers, and this is also something we should be praying for. We should be praying for the Iranian people, because what comes next might be catastrophic for them. What may be coming, how President Trump will answer, this may be the final straw. This may be it. This may be all bets off. This may be turn the place into a sand wasteland. He told them, you go ahead and kill Americans. You will not like what's going to happen. I don't think we're going to see a tactical strike. I don't think we're going to see little bases or here or there happen. I think this is going to be epic in terms of what they're about to face. They brought it on themselves. They didn't have to. They could have. There was deal after deal after deal put on the table. They wanted to be ignorant. They wanted to keep poking the bear. Well, you poked him. You've poked him really bad. Now watch all the Democrats are going to be screaming at Trump when at this point they backed themselves into a corner. There's no way out for them. So I hope that they make right with Allah or whoever, because it's about to get really bad. Let me check in with SB, see if he's got any updated information. Hey man, how you doing?
Hey there.
What do
Doing
you got?
right. Good afternoon. Yeah, story 1 and 2 talks a little bit about what's going on Iran. I mean, Iran obviously is not defanged. I personally think that it might be time to glow. I mean, can they do it in a like a small way, but something to say, it's
No, it's all or nothing now. He told them, don't let nobody see. One of the things I had been saying for quite some time is with both sides bombing, we hadn't heard about casualties. It was like a facility, a airstrip or something. Now you've gone ahead and killed Americans. And I pretty much think we all know how Trump is going to react. So what do you got here? What's this one?
Yeah, he called a lid tonight, so obviously something's going on. So apparently Iran has begun to adapt to the U.S. air defense systems because, as you just heard, the ballistic missile got through in Jordan. They travel extremely high speeds and can maneuver as they streak back towards the earth. So that's the first thing. And then the second part of the story below, or number 2 cut, I sent to you. Yeah. So Iran has proven ability to hit some sensitive targets in the Middle East, which is kind of interesting because it raises concerns that the regime is getting targeting data and assistance from China and or Russia. And that could be we kind of already knew that, but how is that happening? How is that continuing to happen? So, between these two things, obviously they are not defanged. They still have missiles. They still have ways to strike. And today is a good example that we're not out of this yet. And we're going to have to stop it for good soon.
Well, he said they still had some stuff, and using these drones, especially the drones, you can maneuver in and out of places at a very low altitude, and it's not really expensive to do it. So, but like I said, I think it's just going to get catastrophic at this point. There's no choice whatsoever.
This is the tit for tat back and forth. I mean, patience has definitely run out. So, I mean, take out the infrastructure for like total infrastructure. They have no power, no lights, no food.
Yeah.
And obviously the people, we're going to hear save the people of Iran, from the left. Trump's going to be under fire a little bit here, but it has to be done because this can't keep going on and on.
I mean, what are the options? The options are to capitulate and leave, which ain't going to happen.
And he's taco.
Yeah. And so at this point, you're pot committed, and he's got to go. He's got to go all in. He's got to go all in at this point.
That's what I'd be doing.
I'm going to go over the election stuff later. I see you got something there.
That didn't fit into the breaking, so that's for a little bit later. And I'll keep looking if I see anything else. I did see, which I think it was part of that recording you played. So the White House has called a lid. Did you hear about that?
Yes.
Yeah. So there will be no more coming out from that. So anything you'll see is probably hearsay and all, the Candace Owens. Oh, look at this. So people don't believe anything just because you saw it from somebody. Come here, we'll give you the real news. Thank you very much.
Or follow Trump on Truth. So I bet you before we're done here, there will be an announcement on Truth Social. But obviously, you're not going to make the announcement until after you've already launched. Now, I don't know if people saw what Dan Scavino posted. Did you see Dan Scavino's post?
I did not.
let me see if I can pull that up real quick, because it was very interesting that Dan Scavino posted this. And this is well before. No, maybe it wasn't before, because the CENTCOM. All right, now hold on a second. Let me
Okay.
just think about this. The CENTCOM report noticed that it happened on July 17th, right?
Yeah.
That's what so July 17th was yesterday. We're finding out about it on July 18th, but the inner circle in the White House knew about it yesterday. So Dan Scavino posted this. Let me pull it up so everybody can see
All
it.
right.
And no comment. All he did was post this video of the stealth bomber in the sky. So
Interesting.
did he know something
So,
already? Did he already
yeah.
know something? Because that's what he posted, and people are like, "What the hell does this mean?" And he posted it. Actually, it looks like 17 hours ago. 17 hours would have been, but 5 o'clock in the morning is 12. So that would have been posted around midnight. That he posted that. So has the
Nope.
stealth already? Is it already in the air? I don't
No
know how long it.
coincidences.
I don't know how long it takes to fly from, where's the base, Missouri or Oklahoma or something, but who
Somewhere in
knows
the
how.
middle. It's like 17, 18 hours, I believe, right, for those.
Well,
And they have to be refueled.
yeah, look at the time, 17 hours.
Yeah, that was 7, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, interesting that he posted that, and it's in the air. And then his post directly after that was this one, was him making a strike.
I love it. Oh, nice throw.
Yeah, who knows when that was made, but he put a strike together with the B-2, the stealth bomber going over there. So I'm not really sure what kind of comms that is, but maybe we'll find out soon enough. So they'll find out before we do. So we shall see.
Well, if I see anything, because I monitor everything very quickly, and as well as True Social, I'll get back to you. I'll let you know. I'll send you a quick
All
text.
right, so let's get going on the show. Thank you, SV.
This is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. This is quote unquote America's birthday. And the question historically is going to be, what were we doing on the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence? Do we have the audacity to sit around and say that we want to build a document that is our values and our principles and bring millions of Americans around it? And so I see people on the streets. I see mutual aid efforts. I see young people running for office. I see people of color, marginalized people getting up and saying, I'm the leader that I've been waiting for, and seeing people rally around those leaders. And so don't give up hope, folks. There's more to come. We're going to survive this. And some of us are going to be on the fight back, and some of us are going to be on the other side waiting to catch you when we win, because there got to be other people that are going to be building the thing that you're going to come to once we win this fight back, because we will win, my friend. So keep your chin up, your head up. It is the blessed month of Ramadan right now, so I've had a lot of time to reflect on this.
You know, we make this rent payment effectively at the barrel of a gun, because we know that if we don't make this payment, our landlords can call on agents of state violence and who can use physical force to throw us outdoors. Living on rent strike, right? Like getting to experience having your housing without having to pay for it is one of those like liberatory, is a liberatory vision of home. Our movement has a division of labor that includes lawyers. It doesn't privilege lawyers or put them on a pedestal, right? It recognizes that being able to stall in the legal system is one of the most important tactics that our lawyers can offer to our movement. And to call it a housing crisis specifically obfuscates the power relationship between landlords and tenants, right? And that power relationship is inherently one of exploitation and domination, right? Like landlords effectively have the power to exploit us, to charge us rent. And they have the sort of like they hoard the places where we can live and then charge us to access them. Both the tenants who got the rent increases and the tenants who didn't, but sort of recognized that that process would be coming for them soon, all collectively decided to withhold their rent. And that after a period of 8 months, that economic sanction in combined with forms of social, like more direct social sanction, like camping out on the landlord's lawn multiple times and shaming him in front of his community and neighbors. That those two things brought the landlord to the negotiating table. Collective action that we take, right, in making our tenant associations or making a tenant union, whether that's like sending a demand letter with like fancy legalese so your landlord takes you seriously, or like writing really bad Yelp reviews of like his stupid flower business, or like crashing his wedding or his kid's wedding, or going to his house because we want to combine forms of economic sanction with forms of social sanction.
Obviously, DSA has been a topic of Democratic politics for the last month. I wonder, is DSA association a concern for moderate voters in your state?
You know, when people talk about DSA, they use it as a buzzword. But if you ask the people in my state how they feel about universal access to health care and making sure that we have school meals for every kid in our state, that affordable housing and childcare is available to people, all of a sudden some of the socialist principles sound pretty good to them. And I think the problem is people get caught in the buzzwords. We need to talk about the actual policies and principles that people stand for.
The policies and principles that people stand for. You mean like, going to the landlord's children's wedding and crashing it? That would work. Not. Like going to his house? Yeah, definitely wouldn't work. These people are literally insane. And she's talking about us having to pay for their kids and having to pay for their kids' food. I didn't have these kids. They're not mine. They're not yours. I definitely didn't sleep with his girlfriend or his wife. I had nothing to do with what happened to them and the decisions that they personally made. But I'm happy that they have video. I'm happy that they have cameras and cell phones and can make all kinds of crazy ass videos. They are a walking, talking disaster, but at the same time, they are a walking, talking production crew, an advertising agency for MAGA. Because if I'm cataloging this, I'm sure President Trump and his entire cabinet is cataloging all of this. The archives must be voluminous. This entire socialist commie ideology is a freaking disaster to anybody with a brain. They have no idea. So what I wanted to tell you in today's show was they are teeing this up, this giant softball up for the Republicans. This is a slam dunk. If people understand what you're up against, don't turn away. Don't say I can't watch it. Don't say I don't need to hear it. No, we need to know everything about them. And I'm convinced that I'm going to show you 2 interviews today. And in these 2 interviews, you will realize as you watch them, they have completely decimated the Democrat Party, and they've teed up a win for the midterms that cannot be overcome. They're done. This is so blatantly un-American. You want to do what with the Declaration of Independence? You want to replace the Declaration of Independence? Does that mean we're going to go back to being under British rule? Hey, we're going to get rid of it. All right, so that means England is now your boss. You don't have Trump to worry about. Now you got England again. Socialism, as every single one of you know, has failed everywhere. And even they know it, but they don't even seem to understand it. These younger kids have been completely brainwashed and hoodwinked by the Mandami type people, the Bernies. It always failed. It will always fail in perpetuity. We can always look at the records. The Soviet Union collapsed. Venezuela destroyed itself. Cuba remains a husk, a prison for the people who live there. China fakes it with stolen capitalism just to survive. Yet somehow here in America, these radicals think that what doesn't work is somehow going to work here. They want to change everything that made America great. They want to change everything that made America. Never mind made America great. If you want to rip up the Declaration of Independence, you want to destroy the country. You don't want there to be an America. Have you noticed how they attack our founding principles? See, this is where I think a lot of people aren't, forget the socialist crazy stuff. Oh, we don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. If people listen to them and then repeat and show other people, this isn't about Democrat and Republican. This isn't about left and right. We've been invaded. We've been invaded from within. These people have turned into, as I've said many times, orcs. What were they doing? They were sitting there like, American sleeper cells. They hate everything about us. The first one, Linda Sarsour, she's been around for quite some time, talking about how we're going to get rid of the Declaration of Independence. The second one, I don't know what the hell she's talking about, raiding landlords' weddings, raiding going to their houses, writing bad Yelp reviews. They're exposing themselves. Every time they talk, people sit back and listen and go, you can't do that. Oh, you do. Now we know all the things you do. We want to destroy his flower business. They don't fight fair. See, sort of like what's going on in Iran, we've got a battle here, and it's not going to be conventional warfare. You got to be ready to put on guerrilla warfare outfits. You got to be ready to be a militia. These people aren't carrying a flag just walking into town in red coats like the British did. They are actually hanging out in trees. They're being subversive. They're under potholes. They don't take showers. They look like hell. That's their uniform. Recognize it. When you see the nose ring and the blue hair and just looking disheveled, like you have no reason to be alive, that's their uniform. Pretty soon they're going to be putting on the war paint like orcs because they have no choice. Our traditions scare them. Our traditions make their skin seethe. Our freedoms make them shake. It's no accident. They want total control. I'm going to show you some things today that, if you haven't seen, are going to blow your mind. At this point, in 2026, in July, you may have thought you've seen it all, but you're going to see even something more. You're going to go, wait, what are we doing? How can he not use the military? How can you even have any reservation against Donald Trump rolling out the big Humvees and just doing what he got to do? It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And if somebody wants to get rid of the Declaration of Independence, that's before everything else happened. So they're telling you in no uncertain terms, whatever that means, ripping up the Declaration of Independence, doing it all over again. How do you do that all over again? We're not under British rule. They literally make no sense except to each other. The Declaration of Independence is essentially our birth certificate. It's the birth certificate of free people. It says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, which we know is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So that means if you want to get rid of the Declaration of Independence, you don't want to recognize that we've been endowed by our creator. You don't want to recognize that we have unalienable rights. You don't want to recognize that we can pursue life and liberty and happiness. Because what they want is for the government to give you those rights. They'll let you know what you can or can't have and what happiness you're allowed. With the consent of socialists or commies, they hate every word about even the Declaration of Independence. Creator endowed? No. Let's rewrite this thing. The government will grant you rights according to what they feel necessary. We need to control your life from birth to death. We need to control your neighbor's life from birth to death. That's the start. It's like reading Genesis in the Bible. The Declaration of Independence is the country's Genesis. So if you want to take that away, to me, it's the equivalent of saying, how about we just take this Genesis book out of the Bible? We'll forget all that stuff. We'll forget all that stuff about in the beginning. We'll make a new beginning. Oh, yeah, that's exactly what they're saying. We'd like to erase it. We want to erase American liberty. We need to rewrite the story. We need to make these people understand they're subjects. It's pure insanity, but that's what they believe. That's the Bible of your enemy. It's un-American to its core. And if it's un-American to its core, then why are we affording them American rights? Why are we not, which way maybe we will, why are we not calling this an insurrection? And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Tenant organizing? I bet you when you went to apply for that apartment that you're sitting in, you didn't tell the landlord at that time, you know what? I think 6 months from now, I'm going to join an organization to destroy everything that you, your wife, and family built. You thought you were, going to have this apartment building. Nope, we're going to take it from you. We're going to abolish rent. We're going to use the legal system to our advantage and just delay and delay and delay. Where do you think she got that from? See, it's by no accident that's what the Democrats are doing. Sue everything. Lawfare has now seeped into the minds of these kids. Everything we do, we can do with a delay. We can use this, Saul Alinsky, we can use their rules against them. They got to go to court. We'll go in here and just do whatever we want. We'll squat in this person's apartment until they go bankrupt, and then we'll take it over because all we have to do is delay. And so they're organizing and telling people these insidious plans because they expect free housing. What cracks me up when I look at people like this and I keep hearing it over and over, and I'm like, well, how would you define the word free? There's nothing free, nothing. Unless I were to give this to you, then it would be free. But if you take it, that's not free. That means you've taken it from somebody else. This entitled, whiny brattiness of these people who go into a contract. Because remember, any lease, any agreement to rent a car, is based upon a contract. At some point, you looked at a piece of paper, I want to live here, and you agreed to pay X, Y, or Z. Now we know they don't want to pay their student loans. Now they don't want to pay rent. Soon, they don't want to pay for their cell service. Soon, they don't want to pay for food. It began with the student rent stuff. Actually, no, it began with free food in school. Mom and dad don't have to pay it. We're going to give them free breakfast. Free breakfast? When you were growing up, did they have free breakfast at school? Hell no. Mom made you get up and eat some damn Cheerios at 7:30 in the morning. And then you end up burping all day. There's no free breakfast. You went to school, you ate your breakfast, you went to school. Childcare, free childcare, what are you talking about? Childcare was, after school until your parents get home. Hey, little Barry, you're going to play football or baseball, and we're going to torture you until your mom comes to get you. I mean, childcare. I knew what she was doing. Well, actually, I did. I learned that later. I'm like, you made me play sports, so you didn't have to pick me up till like 5 or 6 o'clock. She told me that years later. Right? But it worked out because I got to play football. Childcare? Remember that whole thing, latchkey kids? And now they want you and me to pay for their child's food and its care. How did my parents do it? How did your parents seem somehow able to work and raise kids and pick them up? I watch Ashley now, everything she's doing, and she's running around with 3 kids and got to take this one to horseback riding and take this one to football practice and this one to volleyball practice. And damn, like, you got no time. But ain't nobody in that school can, take care of them. No, those words don't get spoken. You have a contract with your child. In addition to the walls and roof over your head, you have a contract with your family. I agree and I sign on to take care of Robin. And then little one, hey, I agree now to take care of the little one. The 3 little ones that you have, Ashley, they're yours. But we're going to take care of them too. That's our contract. Nobody had to beat me over the head with it. Nobody said, now you understand, you're going to have to give up your credit cards and your checkbook to your wife. Well, actually, she beat that into me. But we have a contract. We don't put it upon other people to do that. Maybe some of us, as we were growing into this contract, we leaned on people. My mom, her dad, they're like, hey, we're trying to make this thing called life work. Well, we'll be okay, but yeah, I don't know what the heck this is. We need a new tire. All right, we'll help you out. Oh, what's going on? Oh, the boiler. When we lived in Connecticut, the boiler broke. Now we got to pay $2,000 for a new. We'll help you out. Keep going. Keep going. Don't give up. No white flags. This is what life is. It's a road. It's a road, and there's hazards. And sometimes you may take the wrong exit, but you got to keep going. That's how we were raised. That's how I raised Ashley. That's why I keep telling her now, just keep going. Keep going. That's what I tell my grandson when he goes down there and works out in the gym, keep going. Give it all you got. And yet you see these idiots. Oh, paying on my student loan. So you're telling everybody you don't recognize contracts, agreements. You're walking into a landlord-tenant situation, and you're telling people up front, I'm not paying this. I shouldn't have to pay that. I want free rent. Housing is a human right. Okay. What about your clothes that you wear? Are you going to walk into a retail establishment and say, nope, not paying that. Got to have that for free? When does it end? When does the contract breaking end with these people? Well, it doesn't. Hence, that's why she wants to break the original contract. Declaration of Independence? If you want to break the Declaration of Independence, you're telling me you don't want us to be independent. Let that sink in, because I wanted you guys to see that, because now this is easy. It's easy for strong Republicans to say, these people don't care about MAGA. They don't even care about Democrats. They want to burn it all down. We all take risks. We understand sometimes the risk may be more than we bite off more than you can chew type of thing. But these people don't want any risks whatsoever. She said, her words was, they made me pay rent at the barrel of a gun. Was a barrel of a gun pointed at your head when you signed the lease? I'm pretty sure there wasn't. But now that you agreed to pay X dollars per month, you no longer want to pay it because you don't believe you should have to. So you're going to organize strikes. You're going to withhold rent for years. Then you're going to attack the landlord. Then you're going to go to his house. Then you're going to go to his business. You're going to sow all kinds of chaos to try and make him cave to your demand. You're going to crash family events. You're going to use lawyers that you can't pay for, but somehow are donating their time to destroy America. That's the other thing. The legion of doom that they are putting together all agree the same thing. Let's destroy America. Let's do this together. Let's all 1,000 of us go jump in Barry's chat and say bad things. Let's go ahead and say things about the landlord's, flower business. Because you're not allowed to go against what they believe. And when she says movement, unless she ate some bad lettuce, what movement is she talking about? Let me tell you something. well, maybe some of you don't know this. Do you know how many people in this country right now, because they keep saying, oh, we got to raise the minimum wage. Do you know how many people in this country work for minimum wage? 1%. 1%. The chaos that they are creating is for the most minimalist part of our society. Because these people want what you have and don't want to go through what you had to get there. That's the resentment. They no longer feel like I have to do this to get to here and keep going. This isn't protesting. I think that's where the labeling has come across wrong. The socialist commies aren't protesting. They've given up. They've waved the white flag of surrender over their lives. I can't do it. I won't do it. You got to take care of me. You want to go back to the original problem where you want to rip up the Declaration of Independence? What you need to go back is look at the original problem was taking off the diaper. They don't want to. These people would probably want to walk around pooping in their pants if they could. They don't want to do anything. This is decrepit thuggery. This is theft dressed up as social justice. In America, we respect contracts, even if they aren't written. There are many contracts that you and I both uphold that are spoken or implied. Implied, I will not go throw a rock through my neighbor's window. I don't have anything written with them, but we were taught, don't do this. We were taught that's not how you live. You have to have, number one, respect. You have to have been taught right from wrong. You have to understand ownership. We respect the right to keep what we earn. Landlords aren't villains. They provide housing. I have provided housing. Landlords provide housing to millions of families because they take the risks. They sign the contracts. Do these people not realize that the landlord went to some bank and said, I'd like to buy this house or this apartment. Could you lend me the money? You think the landlord can go back to the bank and say, you know what? I've got socialists living in my apartment and they don't feel like they should ever have to pay. So can you forgive my loan? Isn't that how we're doing it now? No, sir. No. Pay or move. But these radicals want something for nothing while destroying the people who make. See, that's the other part of this. It's very easy to define what these people are. There's only two types of people, makers or takers. At some point, you have probably made enough where now you can coast, you're on retirement, and you're not taking anything. You're taking what's due to you. You're bringing in what's due to you. Somebody had set it aside, whether it's in a 401k or Social Security, it's yours. However you invested along your journey, you're just getting the recoupment of what is yours. You're not taking from somebody else. And I'm not talking about people who need help because they're mentally or physically affirmed. These people will never get to Social Security because they will never put anything in. They are not makers, they are takers. Chaos that they are doing, called socialist, Democrat socialism, is based upon taking. They have somehow gotten in their heads and said, you can take whatever you want. You no longer have to create. You no longer have to work. Just take it from somebody else. It's un-American. And what now we're seeing is Democrats being weak and complicit simply for votes. It tells you they have no leadership. They're afraid to call out this insanity. It has consumed them at this point. When asked if, socialism concerned her, that last person who was a main Democrat, she's like, no, it's just a bad buzzword. Don't worry about it. Their actual policies are okay. There's nothing okay about their policies. It doesn't make any sense for them to advocate abolishing rent. Nope, that's not a good policy. In fact, it's going to hurt other people. Because now what they're trying to do in New York City is they want to make it illegal for you to do an income verification and a credit check. So somebody shows up and they want to get an apartment. What are you just supposed to hand them the keys? How do I know if you can pay? How do I know if you're not a criminal? How do I know that you're going to uphold some sort of an agreement? Because they're tearing the essence of agreement up. There is no agreement. And I wanted you to hear what she had to say about erasing the Declaration of Independence, because that in its essence is what they're trying to do. Tear it down to the core, rename it, retool it, call it something else, and then enable the complete takeover of America. They're afraid of their own base, the Democrats are. And this is how socialism will creep and kick in doors in America, through weak leaders. And I'm going to show you a weak leader coming up. A very weak leader. So if you're not prepared to fight back against socialism, if you don't understand how they're trying to destroy you, you are going to succumb to it. You have worked too hard in your life to build whatever it is you have built for you and your family, to create whatever you've created for you and your family, to produce whatever you've produced for you and your family. And now they're trying to tell you it doesn't matter. Your property means nothing. Your business means nothing. Your family means nothing. Your way of life, even the way you pray, it means nothing. And so I'm gonna give you something in a minute. You're gonna see that that's specifically what they want to do. They don't want our laws to be the laws of this country. They want an international aspect of things, which I don't know where they're going to get, because some of these other countries have laws too. They don't want individual liberty. They don't want property rights. They don't want free markets. They don't want capitalism. And the thing with capitalism, it's not like they don't want capitalism. They don't want anything that allows a ladder of sorts, where somebody is here and somebody else is there. That's the essence of what they don't want. Everybody should be on a fallen ladder. It's just horizontal. It's not vertical, which I don't know what they're going to do about entertainment and sports, because there's always going to be somebody bigger and better. We're in trouble, but it's not over. It's not over because the trouble that they want exists in darkness, with people not confronting it. And what I'm going to show you, I think today of all days, with everything going in Iran, this is the day where I think you're going to see these two interviews and go, that's it. I may have been sitting on the fence. I may not have been in the fight. I may not have really seen what the hell's going on. But I want you to just pay attention to these next couple of interviews, and I think you're going to be shocked, maybe scared. Good. Good. It is good. Use that fear for America. Use that fear to coalesce with other people and go, you got to see this. We can't let these slick, trained, smiling wolves who talk softly and try to pretend like they're not a threat. This is the snake that President Trump was talking about. We let these snakes in. We grew these snakes. We let it happen. We let it happen in our school districts. And they were taught to, you don't have to scream. You can scream when we do our protests. Here's what we do. Look unassuming. Smile. Look cute. And then go for the throat. They won't even see it coming. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people, including Republicans, who just don't see it coming. Don't be one of those people. I'm serious, because when next thing I show you, as soon as I take a break here to talk to SV, it will scare the hell out of you. All right. That's what I got to say. Well, that went a little bit long. I told SB, like, I want to start doing some shorter shows. And I'm like, I didn't even get to the whole meat and potatoes. I'm already 45 minutes in.
Oh boy, I try to keep you on track, bro. I mean, yeah. I said a few things. Now, one of them I have to give you a caution.
What?
We are here. Let's see. Story 4 was about 15 minutes ago. Was just from Eric Doherty about what President Trump basically replied. Now, I haven't seen anything True Social, but somehow maybe in the little news thing that he talks about it.
Eric Doherty, what?
Responding to what happened in Iran. He doesn't give a crap about the MO.
Okay, this one?
Yeah.
Okay,
so apparently he says he couldn't care less that Iran just declared it's 100% withdrawing from the MOU. That's coming from News Nation on the 2 falling U.S. troops. We hate to see it happen. It's in service to our country. Very sad. It's a very sad thing. Prayers up. And then, of course, we know what's happening now. Could be, I think it's actually happening, launching retaliation at any point throughout the night. So that was the first story.
Wow.
And the second one kind of goes in with what you were just talking about, like about the Democrats. So I was wondering where Omar's been hiding, but apparently she just got clipped saying she doesn't denounce the DSA. So, and she gave the most stupid, you got to play this clip. It's
she doesn't even say anything. I think I've seen this video with the one with her walking down the hall.
But I thought she said that the Senate was founded on Jim Crow.
No, that was AOC. Ilhan Omar didn't even say anything.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Sorry, yeah. I just read that. Right.
I'm gonna get to that one. But yeah, she.
Right.
It's funny. It's funny how they're always so verbose. They're so verbose and loquacious when they think they got something to say, but when you actually talk to them, they run away. You know what? They don't have the messaging. The messaging hasn't been given to them. They're all puppets with people's hands stuck up their butt.
There's no mic. There's no thing in their ears telling them what to say.
Exactly.
The last one is newly released video footage of the. Can you show something that's going kaboom?
Yeah, because you can't. There's no bodies or anything. That's what they don't like.
So what happens here? This is where the 2 U.S. soldiers were killed. So you can see the ballistic missiles in the air. A couple are getting intercepted, and then at the 50-second mark, you actually see the one that gets through, and it comes down very fast, and it blows up one of the I guess housing units. And it's so whoever's recording it probably came out and go, oh,
that one right there. That one right there that came in behind it. Yeah, okay. Well, they shot a whole bunch of them.
But you'll see. Where are you at on the video?
50, almost at 52nd. Right now, here comes 52nd.
Here it comes.
Watch,
here it comes.
Oh,
Here's the one. Here's the one.
Oh, okay. All right.
So,
wow.
Yeah. And that's
wow.
Ugh, not good. Yeah. So I'm sure when Trump sees that, he's going to be infuriated, and as we all are, to see that happening.
Man. That's.
So it goes. I was going to say it goes hand in hand with. I mean, they still have the capability. I mean, and I know it's been severely reduced, but I'm still wondering: is China still kind of helping them? I mean,
I find it interesting that
they weren't.
The ones that they do launch are out into these other countries, into Jordan and UAE or that way. They're not shooting at Americans. So if you have the capability, why aren't you trying to take out like an American ship that's sitting right there in the strait?
Well, because we remember earlier I said that they might be getting intelligence from China or Russia. Someone said there's troops there. So
wow.
Maximum damage, right? There's a lot of guys just hanging out having lunch or whatever they were doing at that time.
Well, by the time we wake up tomorrow, there might be a new beach over in Iran. Charlie don't surf. Charlie don't surf.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Yeah,
gone, absolutely gone.
All right.
Thank you for
nothing
the updates.
On True Social. Nothing yet.
He's pulled a lid. So if I would be, I would be holding my boots right now because it's gonna get crazy. All right. Thank you see you in a second there. Hey, quick question for you. What's one thing you've noticed about your body changing as you've gotten older? How has that affected your approach to health or recovery? Turns out the secret to healing and recovery and resilience isn't just luck, it's stem cells. Good stem cells, not the kind that they freak you out about. These are your body's built-in repair crew, but as we age, the system slows down, fewer cells, weaker signals, slower recovery. This is exactly why Qualia stem cell was created. Your cells are powerful. Make sure they stay that way with Qualia's innovative new stem cell formula. Think of stem cells as your body's repair crew, almost like a pit crew. And Qualia Stem Cell helps them do their job even better. It's crafted with nature's most powerful healers, like something called sea buckthorn and royal jelly. So you're ready to take on whatever comes next. You don't have to accept slowing down. Help your body renew itself by reactivating the systems that keep you moving, healing, and thriving. And the best part, you only need to take it 4 days a month, preserving your body's regenerative capacity over time. So if you've ever felt like your body just doesn't bounce back like it used to, whether it's after a tough workout, getting sick, or just a wear and tear of life, this is for you. Qualia Stem Cell was designed to support your body's natural repair systems, helping you heal, recover, and keep going strong. And right now, you can try it for up to 50% off at qualialife.com/Barry. And here's a bonus. You can use the code Barry for an additional 15% off your order. That's qualialife.com/Barry. Your body has been built to repair itself, and Qualia just helps it do better. And a big thanks to Qualia for sponsoring this episode. All right, so we'll get to the rest of the show in 90 seconds.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
When we're talking about immigration enforcement, I think that it should be humane. I talk about our pride in being a sanctuary city in terms of the policies that we practice. I'll give you an example of those policies. We are willing to work with the federal government on more than 170 serious crimes.
I got to stop right there. We are willing. I didn't know the federal government had to get permission from the mayor of New York City. We're willing to work with you. Think about the arrogance of this asshat. For him to come out and say, we're willing to work with the United States government.
If someone has been convicted of them, what we are unwilling to do is to participate in civil immigration enforcement with a federal government that has said openly it wants to deport a vast majority of people for crimes that we will never even know. That
Dave Rubin said it pretty good. And I want you to keep this in mind. The fake smile, the half whisper. If you can't spot this jihadist in mayor's clothing, I don't know what to say. And we live in the United States of America, a sovereign nation, and you're going to get to this about the ICC stuff. If anyone should be arrested and deported, it's him. He's acting, you know, they had the whole no kings thing. This guy is acting as though he is in his own little kingdom. You're the mayor of a city, a mayor, and you're telling everybody how you might be willing to work with the United States government on this and that, but, you know, not the other stuff. We don't find that that's what should be happening.
right is where I think I see the tension.
Have you ever been to the U.S.-Mexico border?
No. I think that what we've found from the Republican administration has been a desire to make any and all immigration illegal. And
no, nobody has said that. The conflation, how they put all this stuff together as if that's what Trump and Republicans and Americans want. We don't want any immigration. A, nobody has ever said that. B, they don't make any sort of delineation. There is no line between illegal immigration and immigration. You will never hear them ever differentiate. It's all the same thing as far as they are concerned. That's one of their biggest issues. They keep trying to tell Americans, oh, you guys just don't want immigrants. No, stop saying that. We need to fight back. You're missing the qualifier. We don't want people who aren't supposed to be here. My father was an immigrant. He came through the front door. What the hell do you people not understand about going through the front door? I know what they don't understand. You see, going through the front door requires a number of different steps that these people don't want to take. You come in through the back door, and you just get to come in. You don't have to learn. You don't have to assimilate. You don't have to swear allegiance. That's what they have a problem with. You come through the front door, you got to go through classes. You got to learn different things. You got to agree. You have to make a contract to do certain things. And you got to pledge allegiance. That's the problem that they're having. Our front door has way too many qualifications. And it has a contract. The back door, they just want people to slide in.
I sit before you as one of the first immigrant mayors of our city in generations. I lead a city where of 8.5 million people, more than 3 million are immigrants. And so when we're talking about legitimate claims to asylum, I think that those should be honored.
Okay. Legitimate claims to asylum. So he feels anybody who wants asylum should get asylum. Asylum is not a guaranteed thing. Just because you'd like to have asylum doesn't necessarily mean you will be granted asylum. How many of you know that? It is a privilege. It is not a right. Mandami and his ilk, they think asylum should be a privilege. The privilege is ours, not theirs. And as you know, in order to claim asylum, you have to have, the only way you can do it here is if Mexico was oppressing you. If you're coming through Mexico, that's where you have to claim asylum, not here. Hey, my country, there's gangs trying to kill me. Where did you end up? You either ended up in Mexico or Canada. That's your problem. Those two countries don't have that. If you're running from Haiti, if you're running from Mongolia or some other country and you're oppressed over there politically or racially or whatever, it's the next place you get to that doesn't have the oppression, doesn't have the danger. So as you come crossing against the, where the coyotes are and everything else, you're in a country that doesn't have that problem. You come across the Rio Grande, where you're swimming from doesn't have the problem. You have to stay in Mexico. It's very simple. The laws are what they are. Front door or asylum. Front door, you got to stand in line. Asylum, you got to go to the country, or the first country that can be a safe harbor. And in our country, just happen to be where we are, you got Canada and you got Mexico. Unless, of course, you come over on a boat from someplace over there or over there, and in any event, then you're going to have to prove it. But I don't think that's what we're looking for. We just want everybody to be in America.
When we're talking about immigration enforcement, I think that it should be humane. I talk about our pride in being a sanctuary city in terms of the policies that we practice.
It should be humane. Let's define that for a second. What is not humane about stopping in Mexico or Canada? What is not humane, and this is very important for these people, if you're not supposed to be in the country and you're offered $2,000 and a plane ticket to get the hell out, I think that's really, really humane. That's fantastic. I get $2,000 to get out and an airplane ticket, and I have the ability to come back in. Yeah. Somebody want to tell me anywhere where that's not humane? Now, the contrary, I'm not supposed to be here, and I fight you to stay here. I become an adversary. I don't want to go, so I'm doing all kinds of different things to make sure I don't get deported. Well, you've kind of forfeited your humanity. And I don't mean that you need to be shot in the head just because you didn't do it, but if you come after somebody with a car, or you come after somebody with a gun, then you definitely forfeit your rights to humane treatment. But I really have a problem with the smiling Jack routine.
I'll give you an example of those policies. We are willing to work with the federal government on more than 170 serious crimes.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine telling the federal government, hey, listen, I'm living my life here in Boca, but I only want you guys to worry about 170 crimes. I don't know how many there are on the books, but the other ones, I'm good. Yeah, if I break those, don't come after me. They don't really mean much. So, here's my list. Here's the stuff that I'm willing to be arrested for if you catch me. These 170 here, all right? Anything not on this list, don't leave me alone.
If someone has been convicted of them, what we are unwilling to do is to participate in civil immigration enforcement with a federal government that has said openly it wants to deport a vast majority of people for crimes that we will never even know.
It's none of your business to know. I should have looked up before I began. I should have looked up the oath of the mayor of New York. It's probably pretty similar to other oaths. I'm pretty sure it says somewhere in there, uphold the laws of the United States. I'm pretty sure, even as crazy as New York is, there's some lines that say, I got to uphold the laws of America, and I swear to protect Americans. I don't think there's in there, check off the box if you agree. Oh, wait a minute, we need to add an addendum. I only need to look at these 170. Yeah, that's all. I'll protect Americans as long as the illegals come first. Because we got to do it humanely.
That is where I think I see the tension.
Have you ever been to the U.S.-Mexico border?
No. And I would say that I'm still very much focused in this year, but I do believe that we all have to take a step back and appreciate what it is that she means to so many across this country. And
so the question, the question was, do you think AOC could be the president or the vice president? And he's like, yeah, she means so much to so many people. Really?
reason for it is the work that she has done.
You think she'd make a good president?
I think she would make a good anything. I think she's a great congresswoman. I think no matter what she decides to do, she's going to bring those same qualities to whatever that work is.
Krista, Edie, good morning. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez refusing to distance herself from one of the Democratic Socialists of America's most controversial platforms. Now, when I asked her whether she rejects the group's call to abolish the U.S. Senate, the New York Democrat repeatedly declined to reject the plan. And when I pressed her on whether she supports the institution, Ocasio-Cortez suggested elements of the Senate were racist.
I don't support the filibuster. I don't support elements of this institution that we know, were founded on Jim Crow.
When was the Senate established? And then when was Jim Crow established or happened? You're talking about 180 years later? So if Jim Crow didn't happen till 180 years later, what in the hell are you talking about? And I'm glad to find out, maybe John Thune should talk to AOC, she's not in favor of the filibuster. Oh, so why don't we break it? Does she realize what she just said? I'm not in favor of the filibuster. Good. Good. Tell the other Democrats to vote against the filibuster and let's break it. Can we do that? Since we have you on tape right now saying, I'm not for the filibuster. And Jim Crow, which happened way after the Senate was established. But this is your presidential candidate. At least she understands how to speak many different dialects.
Brothers and sisters, we cannot afford to leave Tennessee behind. We cannot afford to leave Kentucky behind, Alabama behind, Mississippi behind, Georgia behind, South Carolina behind. There is no country when we are split apart. About a month or two ago, we were in Montgomery, Alabama. Sister Presley and I were in Montgomery, Alabama. And one of the things that we said was that it is time for the North to roll up to the South.
That's all I can say. You want to roll up, bring it. I know I speak for many people who live below the Mason-Dixon line who would gladly accept your proposition. You want to roll up? Come on. Stop with all the talk. I'm ready. I know many of you are ready. Roll up. Do what you got to do. Bring your best. And make sure you ain't talking to Sister Alyssa Presley at the same time, because we go about to roll up. Bring it. These people are so full. I almost lost my language there. They're so full of crap, and the idiot steps behind them. You don't realize where you're heading with this. You are now stepping on toes. You are now threatening Americans. You are now trying to tell Americans, oh, we got it good up in here in New York and Massachusetts. We need to roll up in the South. I don't think she knows there's places down here where people disappear. There are places down in the South, unlike up north, well, maybe the Jersey swamps, where people won't even know you existed. There are places here where you could just be walking down the street and then some dinosaur come and snatch you off the street. Y'all don't even know how to swim. And by the way, we all carry. And some people here in Florida open carry. So when you pull up, duck.
It is long past time that we help our brothers and sisters wake up to.
What are you, fucking stupid? Huh?
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is perhaps planning to visit New York for the...
All right. Now, this is a clip that goes about 45 seconds that President Trump and every single Republican should now cut this, clip this, play it to their friends. And let me just preface this. She's talking about Netanyahu. I don't care if you're anti-Israel. I don't care if you hate Netanyahu's guts. You got to listen to his premise here.
UN General Assembly. You pledged during your campaign and after you won to order his arrest to comply with the International Criminal Court warrant. What will happen if he comes in September?
Look, I believe that Prime Minister Netanyahu belongs in The Hague.
I don't give a shit what you believe. He believes what he just said was Netanyahu belongs in The Hague. Hague is the international jail and court. The Hague. You're the mayor of New York City in the United States of America. You know, we all believe you should be deported back to Uganda, but that ain't going to happen anytime soon, unless it does. So he's saying that Netanyahu, let me tell you under what basis he feels this way.
He's a war criminal who has been charged by the International Criminal Court. And what you will find is that is an opinion that is held by many purely because of what his actions have wrought over these last many years.
Does he realize that we don't give a crap about the international whatever, the League of Men, whatever it is over there, and they have their all grand poopas and they put on their water buffalo hats and swear to whatever, and there's like, we're going to put him in jail. What the hell does that have to do with the United States? So this guy is actually conspiring behind the scenes to throw another world leader who has diplomatic immunity in jail because of the grand poopas with the buffalo hats over there said that he's under indictment. Now, this is the part where insert any leader's name. Forget Netanyahu. I don't care if you hate the Jews. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the person is. This guy, the mayor of New York, where the United Nations is telling the world if the ICC thinks you're a bad guy, New York can pluck you off the street and put you in jail. Under what authority do you have there? That's where you should be very concerned, and that's where you should be clipping this video and go, these people have gone, excuse my language, absolutely effing batshit crazy. No wonder they want to destroy the Declaration of Independence. They don't want any of our customs and laws to be upheld. The international community of buffalo head-wearing people, I don't care what they think. Unbelievable. I saw this by Will Chamberlain. He goes, Mondamli arguably violated 18 USC 875 and 18 USC 878, which you can look up clearly with this statement. He should be placed under immediate federal investigation. Immediately. He is basically saying that he and his whatever cohorts are actively planning how to arrest a world leader when they step foot into America under no authority given to him. And you're worried about where these socialists aren't paying rent? This is really bad. The fact that he sat there and smiled and he was quiet and whispered, he goes, they're conspiring to put a world leader in jail and hand him off to some international crime commission. That has to be somewhat treasonous. Where does he get off thinking this? And he has no problem saying it. That's the scariest thing about these people, is nobody can say a year from now, you didn't know it was coming. Nobody can say, they just snuck in. It just happened. We didn't even know this was going to happen. They're smiling. They're whispering and telling you, we're going to rip up your Declaration of Independence. We're going to take away your unalienable rights. You will not pursue life, liberty, and happiness. And if we throwing you in a jail through an international commission, well, you're just going to have to deal with it. Freak you out? It should. Because nobody's doing anything about it that we know of, and they keep telling us what's coming. So we need to record this stuff and let every Republican know, you need to come out and say right now, I'm against this. We need to destroy this in toxic crap that's going around, this infection in our country.
Said that I will follow the laws that we have here in New York City because I believe that there's an importance in.
Did you hear what he said? I will follow. No, I'm sorry. I got to do it again. I will follow the laws we have here in New York City. No, that's not the answer. I will follow the laws of the United States of America. I don't know what your laws are in New York City. You guys could be raising hands and doing crazy stuff every other day. The laws of the United States say, number one, we don't care about the water buffalo heads. No, the ICC doesn't mean crap here. This is an outright threat. This is an insurgency. This is a man who's inviting the international community to govern America. If you didn't hear this right now, this should be freaking you the F out. The mayor of New York City has been conspiring to throw out international leaders to another criminal board. What makes you think if the ICC said President Trump is a war criminal? J.D. Vance is a war criminal. Mike Johnson, war criminal. The ICC said it. The ICC is going to indict people. And, if you step foot in New York, we might have people round you up. Now, I do think if he did that, it would be a suicide mission, literally. I think it would be a suicide mission that he doesn't want to get into. Number one, I don't think there's a single cop in New York City who would enforce that. I could be wrong. He may have brought in some jihadists and made them a certain level of police. But number two, you'd be a lot of dead people, maybe even himself, because the people guarding him would probably take him out. Oh, wait a second. I forgot. Do you know who guards guests when they come here? You understand when Netanyahu gets into America, it's not the Mossad, even though they're probably around him too. Who has the responsibility of guarding a world leader, even a hostile world leader? The Secret Service. So this asshat is telling the world, the international crime community, whatever, that we may arrest him, and then you're going to put the Secret Service in a position where you're going to... Here, look at this. U.S. Ambassador to the United States, Mike Waltz. Mayor Mondami, here's why your threat to arrest Netanyahu during the General Assembly is not going to happen. The U.S. is not party to the Rome Statute that underlies the ICC. The UN headquarters agreement grants diplomatic protections to visiting heads of government. Heads of state immunity applies, and federal authority trumps any major local mayor's wishes. This is pure political theater. But see, with these people, the political theater may go more from theater to reality, because I could actually see him trying it. I think he's got the cojones where he thinks, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. I would love the exposure and all the press I'll get from trying to arrest Netanyahu, because all the little socialist dummies and anti-Israel people would love it and applaud it. So I think he would actually try it.
Following the law as a leader who presides over our city, and that's something that I plan to do.
Meaning? I'm sorry, I don't understand what that means.
Meaning that whatever the law allows me to do in New York City, that's what we will do, but we won't be writing our own laws to that end.
Even the woman from New York Times is like, what the hell does this mean? What is this word salad that you just spewed and vomited all over my dress here? Either you are or not going to try and arrest Bibi Netanyahu. Quit dancing with me and smiling like Jack Nicholson in the Batman movie. What the hell are you going to do? This should be a real easy layup, Mendami. This should be the easiest answer ever. Oh, no, I can't do that. I don't have the authority to do that. I would never do that. Even though I think he's a war criminal, even though I think he's, killing Palestinians and Gazans and, anybody else who wears a towel on their head. But I don't have any authority to do any of this stuff. That's the answer to the question. Not smile. I'll do whatever I can legally. You can't do shit. You can't do shit. Get it through your head. What the hell is that answer? I love the fact that the lady from the New York Times asked him that, like, what the hell are you talking about? Here, I want you to hear that again. Let's go back like 5 seconds, because she actually, what does that even mean?
Also said that I will follow the laws that we have here in New York City, because I believe that there's an importance in following the law as a leader who presides over our city, and that's something that I plan to do.
Meaning? I'm sorry, I don't understand what that means.
Meaning that whatever the law allows me to do in New York City, that's what we will do, but we won't be writing our own laws to that.
See, these guys, they've learned the definition of malignant repetition, I'll call it. He said the same thing twice. What the hell does that mean? It means, and he says the exact same thing, when a simple answer could have sufficed. So now, if you're Netanyahu, if you're the Secret Service, if you're President Trump, if you're J.D. Vance, you're like, what is this idiot doing? Now we got to make sure we extra protect Netanyahu from our own people. This man is saying, I'm going to subvert, hey, honey, I'm going to subvert the United States president. I'm going to subvert the United Nations, and I'm going to go over here with the buffalo hat wearing dudes and say we're going to put him in jail. All for optics. That's the only reason he's doing it, because it'll be on every newscast. He knows it'll be on every newscast internationally. Everybody will see it. It will make him a hero. The anti-Israel crowd will be so happy that he tried to arrest Netanyahu, but he was turned away. They wouldn't let him arrest the war criminal. We are in dangerous territory right now. We are, after what happened with President Trump's announcement, with the news saying we'll let you know, we'll filter out what you can and can't see, because it's dangerous. But we all can see this. That's not dangerous.
What does the law allow you to do?
That's an active conversation with our legal department.
Oh, very simple question. Okay, so you're going to do whatever the law allows you. What's the law do? What's the law say? We're having active conversation. He's planning it. He's signaling it to his orcs. He's letting everybody know with the smile and the nod, we're talking about it. We're going to figure out a way how to make this a big scene. And if I was Bibi Netanyahu, I would land the plane and just give him the double-barreled middle fingers and say, bring it. Bring it on. Who the hell does this guy think he is, other than a danger to America?
In seeing what the prospects are we have here in our municipality. However, what we've seen at the national level is a desire sometimes to write your own laws, to go outside of the bounds of legality. That's not something we have an interest in.
I mean, normally when people come to a UN General Assembly, they're granted a sort of amnesty because it is the seat of the United Nations. Is that what you're thinking that you'll honor, or you're actively looking to see if you can actually arrest him?
I think we are looking at all of our legal obligations and what.
Wow. She threw him a softball. You understand that when people come here and are at the United Nations, they have the diplomatic immunities. That's what you're saying, right? That's not what he said. He's like, we're looking at all our, you have no options. What the hell are you looking at? What options are you trying to decide at this point? I hope each and every one of you watching sees the danger here. Here's why it's extremely dangerous. He is, in essence, the titular head of this commie movement. But he's not alone. They're getting elected in different cities across the country. And so what happens if, I don't know, the mayor of Boston wants to start arresting people from the ICC indictments? What if the mayor of Seattle, the mayor of Portland, the mayor of Baltimore, mayor of Detroit, mayor of Chicago? These people are copycats, and they're seeing right now, today, this interview came out today, that the guy in New York's like, hey, we got some options here about doing something. No, you don't. You think we need the Insurrection Act? You think we might need to go something Jacksonian? You think we need to go into martial law? That will trigger it. That will definitely trigger something. This guy is in effing sane, but he's not. See, that saying these people are crazy, I have to recommit myself and realize they're not crazy. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly how it will be received. He will be a hero. It will cause mayhem. It will be an international incident, which is everything he wants, which is everything they want. What's he planning? I don't know. Riots? Possibly. Violence in the street? Following him to his hotel? See, everything at this point, if Netanyahu lands and they can't snatch him at the airport, probably most likely New York's involved in everything he's doing. What restaurants he may eat, what hotel he's going to stay in. Would you trust him to keep confidence? No. So this is something that, like I said, I have 2 interviews for you today. One took place yesterday, that just makes you go, wait a second. We've actually traversed into the twilight zone.
One of them is with regards to the United Nations, but the other part of this is we're not talking about a personal assessment of Benjamin Netanyahu. We're talking about the International Criminal Court.
Who cares? I'm serious. The International Criminal Court, that's his higher power at this point. Not the United States Constitution, not our borders, not the president, not anything to do with America. It's the International Court. And so she gave him 3 or 4 attempts here. You want to clarify this? You sure you want this message going out? Are you really sure this is what you want to say? And he didn't back down once.
And the fact that they have a warrant out for this prime minister's arrest. And I think it's important to talk about the weight that has as a charge. And
it doesn't have any weight. We're in America. This has gone on way too far. At this point, she should have said, what the hell are you saying? Stop with all the smiling and smiling Jack and whispering shit. What are you saying? Are you saying that you are really considering arresting the president of Israel on United States soil? Are you actually saying that? Because he's trying to dance and he's being cute when we can hear what he's saying. He's letting the world know. He knew this was the New York Times. He understood people would be sharing this video. And he's playing coy with an international incident. Could this not be considered treason or sedition? I don't know. Is it dangerous? Absolutely.
So that as the mayor of New York City, I'll be following the laws of New York City.
Okay.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I saw that today. And I'm like, we are in such big trouble because people aren't paying attention. And we have an entire movement who are trying to subvert our country and saying bat poop crazy stuff like this. I want to take a second to check with SB and see if he's got any more news. Wow. Is that crazy,
man?
Was that crazy?
Yeah, I'm out in the sun a lot, so I think I could be your bro, man. I'm gonna talk like AOC. That's right. You're right. I
Pull
got
up,
you right.
pull up.
Pull up, man. Pull up, man. I'll show
Oh my
you something.
God. I mean, that's dangerous what he was saying. I mean,
it is. It's insanity. I mean, I hope he tries. I mean, oh my God. Woo.
I'm looking at some of the I'm looking at some of the people's comments here, and they're like, "You got to be kidding!" Like I said, if you're not seeing it out there and understanding, but this is what they're saying. SV, this is the part that gets me. This is what they're saying publicly.
Oh yeah.
So they've had
behind the scenes.
Yeah, they've had meetings. They've had strategists. They've had people. Okay, don't say this, and that's what you said publicly. I can't. Wow.
But you're right about the way he talks. It's like I remember growing up. Remember, would you like to be my friend? Let's talk. Come on over here. Let's go over here and talk to my little friend.
Oh, that's very That's very intentional. The smile.
Yeah. It's trying to disarm you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's like he's cool. He's a cool guy. Yeah. Until you get the knife in your back. I got a couple things for you.
Okay, hold on. Let me get open up. I saw that and I'm like, I gotta show that to people. People have got to wake up. Wake up. Which number you want me to go to?
Number 6 is Donald Trump cuts off green cards.
That's number 7.
7. Excuse me. Gosh, I'm reading.
All right.
You're right. I actually had it labeled. I was above you on it. All right, here we go. Hey, we're working it out. So Donald Trump cuts off green cards for migrants. Hold on a second. My screen okay. Foreigners leeching off food stamps, Medicaid, public housing, other taxpayer programs. They must now prove they will not be siphoning resources from Americans or get the F out. This is how it should always be. I mean, this is, I see these stories all the time and I post them to you. It's common sense.
Yeah.
But, we treat the alien migrants better than the veterans on the street who, a guy lost his leg or something and he's on the street, not because he wants to, because there's nothing he could do. Yeah. I mean, it's really sad, really. So that kind of stuff, being my dad was in the Navy, kind of really pisses me off.
And they'll be in court Monday morning. I mean, immediately in court. Yeah.
Some rogue Asperger will be out there probably since it's New York.
All right. So you got another update on the war here.
Yeah,
right?
The Central Command. So, I mean, I seem like this is Bill Murray and Groundhog's Day. Today at 6 p.m., that's, about 30 minutes ago, U.S. forces began launching new airstrikes against Iran at the commander-in-chief's direction. The strikes are designed to further degrade Iran's ability to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz and swiftly punish Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps forces who launched attacks against American service members in Jordan last night. There's got to be something more. I mean, this is, those little those Dorito things were flying 17 hours.
Well, hold on, it may not be there yet, but notice the word that I just focused on is this one, began. Because you don't know what's coming. It's just started. We began dropping bombs at 6 p.m. Yeah, so you haven't got to the encore yet. You haven't got to the big finish. I think the big finish might be really big because who knows?
I mean, even President Trump has a limit to his patience. I mean, I would have done something a little more dramatic at the third time. I think we're up to 7 or 8 or 9. Yeah. I lost count, but I mean, I hope it isn't that bad, but at some point we got to cut off the head,
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things they keep saying is we don't know, supposedly you're talking to these guys who say they want a deal, but the other idiots out in the desert are out there firing stuff off. Or at some point, enough's enough. Enough's enough. Because
I'm wondering, so I'm going to do a little clandestine. I mean, I don't think they actually spoke to a person there for this deal. I mean, I think a lot of it's through the back channels and stuff. As you know, there's cardboard cutouts with missing a leg and so on. But I think there's a lot of internal friction going on there. I mean, you got the hardcore people that going, we're going to fight to the death, right? Yeah. And then you got the other one saying, we don't really have much left, so we need to capitulate. And so I think there's a lot of internal strife going on, and that's what I'm seeing. And that's why I see initially I think some clearer heads were coming to to fruition. That's why the MOU was done. Yeah. But I think maybe the old hardliners are back in, like they pew-pewed the guys that did this, and now they're saying, you know what, no, because I also read that some dude in the IRGC said, we're going to now start our next phase of our attack against the aggressors. Like apparently they have something else in store. And I'm like wondering, what is that? A couple flare guns or what? I mean, like, no, I mean, what do you got left? I mean, come on, guys. Do they have a trick up their sleeve? I mean, these guys are dangerous. Yeah. It's just something I've been thinking about, like, because obviously they still have the ability to send those long range ballistic missiles. So, I mean, that's not something that you could just bring out real quick. I mean, it's big, right? I mean, I thought we have the eyes above to see it. So I'm surprised that we haven't shot those before they before they launch the missile. So I'm a little surprised.
You could be correct. It could be something where somebody else is supplying it. So not really sure, so we shall see.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. All right. So I was telling you guys there were 2 interviews. The next one I'm going to show you, some of you guys may have seen. I watched this live. It was actually live during the after party yesterday. And my jaw was dropping. And again, as you watch this, understand they knew he was going to be going on television. They understood that this guy would be broadcasting a socialist message to the world. And it was still jaw-dropping. Watch this.
Democratic Socialists starting to look ahead to the 2028 presidential race after victories in this year's congressional primaries. Their agenda includes getting rid of the United States Senate, letting Congress choose an executive and judiciary to replace the president and the Supreme Court, amnesty for all immigrants, ending deportations, defunding the Department of War, a wealth tax, and passing a Green New Deal, among others issues there that you see up on the board. So with that, we bring in Gustavo Cordillo, co-chair of the New York City Democratic Socialists of America. Thank you for joining us. Obviously, this is a really hot topic right now.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you for being here. We were just talking in the break, and we were saying hello to each other. Your family came here from Peru, really in the middle of the heat of the Shining Path. They were Maoist, communist guerrillas in Peru. So why did your family come to America?
The economic situation in South America and in Peru was in a really bad place. But I think that much of what we could say is responsible for that actually was the imposition of capitalism, and American imperialism in many cases is actually what brings immigrants to the U.S. coming out of Latin America.
What? Wait a second. Your parents fled Maoism to come here for capitalism. Did I hear him correctly? Okay. I just wanted to, okay.
And
so they come here because they don't like the imposition of American imperialism in the country that they're in?
Yes, in many countries.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was wrong. They left where they were because capitalism was being imposed in those areas, and they didn't like it. So where'd they go? To the place where the capitalism came from. Oh, okay.
Come here.
In many countries, there have been undemocratic coups that have destabilized countries, and that's pushed people out.
Oh, well, you would think they would want to go somewhere that wasn't imposing that on them if that was...
Oh gosh, Martha's been in the business way too long. She just dices this kid up. Oh my gosh. So you left the place where the Americans were imposing capitalism, and you came to the place, or your parents did, where the capitalism was flourishing. You got that? Make any sense? And she's like, well, it seemed like you'd run away from the capitalism. You wouldn't want to be near capitalism. Was Cuba not available for your parents? They decided they wanted to come here. Okay.
If that were the case. But, it's interesting because the shining path, if you look at what they wanted to overthrow the democratic institutions in Peru. They wanted to abolish capitalism in Peru. And we see some of those same threads in the DSA in terms of what it stands for. And one of the things is
He nodded. We see those same things in your organization.
basic. We've just celebrated the 250th anniversary of the country. And one of the most basic things is Article 1 in our Constitution. Are you in favor of abolishing Article 1 of the Constitution?
No. We support a democratic route to transformative change in the United States. We think that we need to put the working class before the billionaire class.
So you don't want to abolish the Senate? The United States Senate, because that's what Article 1 is.
The United States Senate is an undemocratic.
He didn't know. She threw a curveball at him. He wasn't well read on his Communist Manifesto when she threw that at him and said, "So you want to get away with Article 1? No, it's fine. But you want to get rid of the Senate? Yeah. Well, then you want to get rid of Article 1. Already, first 2 minutes into this thing, he's done. She's already got him in knots. I don't know why they sent him out here as a foot soldier, why they brought him out to be the representative. Ugh, wow.
Constitution. It gives more representation to people in smaller states than to the 30 million people in California.
So you've got the House of Representatives, which is population driven, and then you've got the Senate. So every state, if you're a small state, you still get 2 senators, even though you only get maybe 1 congressman, in order to make all of the states have fair representation. So you say, I'm just confused.
When you ask normal Americans if Congress and the Senate and our political system is working for them, most people are very unhappy with the political system, and they say it's not working for them. When we think about the 250th anniversary of the United States, and we think about our proudest moments in U.S. history, I think of times like when ordinary people rose up and they changed the Constitution to abolish slavery, to give...
Oh, this is sad. It's scary, but sad. Why is it scary? Because they really believe this stuff because they don't know anything else.
Women the right to vote.
Everyone's proud of that.
And
that's a nationwide pride in the country.
But back in those moments, those were considered radical movements because those people dared to say we need transformative change in the United States.
Right.
And I
well,
think
we
that
struggle to become a more perfect union. But I just want to ask you again, do you want to abolish the United States Senate? Because you said you approve of Article 1, but then you said you didn't think the Senate works.
We think that the Senate should be reformed, that we should have a more democratic government system. But that's a long-term change that we're seeking. And in the short term, we're focused on issues like affordability, like freezing the rent, which we've just done in New York, like creating a universal childcare system, which we're also taking steps toward doing, like fixing our energy grid. In 2023 here in New York, we passed the Build Public Renewables Act, which would create publicly owned renewable energy to have a more reliable, cheaper, cleaner energy grid. These are our immediate term demands where we do have a long-term horizon where we do want to democratize our government. But in the short term, we're focused on affordability. We're focused on a working class economic agenda.
The question is, how does the government become more democratized if the government takes over more of the power? So, for example, here in New York, if you have government-owned grocery stores, right? And that was what Mamdani promised. I know you were supportive of his election, and I interviewed him here. So they're up like breaking ground on one grocery store so far. It's going to cost $30 million to build a grocery store. In what world does it make sense to build a $30 million grocery store and put competitive pressure on the bodegas that are in the neighborhood?
I think that what we saw in the mayoral campaign is the mayor was able to build a movement that inspired people to believe that we could have a government that works for ordinary people. That's
not what she asked you. She asked you, in what reality do you spend $30 million to open one grocery store to be a competition to the other stores in the area? That's what she asked you. because you are looking at a behemoth that is basically has unlimited capital to put you out of business. That their spending power, if it costs you $30 million to open one grocery store, that means you're going to spend whatever you need to do to make this work and to hurt other businesses. Now, listen to what he says here.
Actually responsive to the working class.
Inspiration's great, but if you're the bodega owner, how would you feel? If the government opened a big grocery store right next to your bodega,
If one publicly owned grocery store that brings prices down in the neighborhood is enough to put someone out of business, then maybe they shouldn't have been in that business in the first place.
All right, so I want to address that right there, because I keep hearing this type of rhetoric for everything. Hey, if having a rent freeze is going to cause you not to be able to make your mortgage payment, maybe you're not a good landlord, you shouldn't be here. Hey, you know, if you can't hire this person or that person, or you need to pay them the quote living wage, then maybe you shouldn't be in business. These people have no idea. When you put a business together, as most of you probably know, and you have a business plan and you understand what your margins are, which this kid probably doesn't know, and you understand what a P&L statement looks like, you're basing it on the conditions at that time. You say, I think we can make it, honey. I think we can make it, Mr. and Mrs. Other partners and investors. Here's what we can do, because this is the information we have on the market. What happens if Home Depot shows up and all of a sudden, you know, a little hardware store can't compete? Well, that hardware store is probably going to have to go away because Home Depot has a much stronger buying power, or a Lowe's. However, those are private businesses. It doesn't mean that the people that couldn't compete with Home Depot need to be folding up, because that's something that's competition. When did we get to a point where the government was going to compete with private businesses, where the government was going to step in and cannibalize business? They don't care. You can't afford? Too bad. We're going to crush you. That is not, that is, we have laws against that. It's called monopolizing. You couldn't do that if you were an airline. You couldn't do it for any other business. You have to be competitive. None of us has to go to Home Depot. None of us has to go to Lowe's. We don't have to go in our area, Publix. What they're doing is, we're going to wipe out everybody, and you have to come to the free grocery store. Oh, you couldn't compete? Too bad. My question to him, do you know what the margins are at groceries? Do you understand that the margin for most grocery stores is 2, 3, 4%? They make their money on volume. So you're talking about a variable on their spreadsheet that can easily put somebody out of business. When they did their business plan, they understood we were making 3, 4, 5% margin on something. They did not think that the government at some point was going to come in and compete with private business.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Let's play, let's look at the big picture for a second here, and play this from Marco Rubio, because his family came from Cuba. You were talking about your family coming from Peru. And he wants nothing of any socialist, democratic socialist, whatever you want to call it, communist presence in the United States. And he may be running against one of your candidates potentially in 2028. So let's take a look.
One of the criticisms you sometimes hear of communism, for example, is that it sounds good in theory, but it never works in practice. That's actually not true. Communism does not sound good in theory. The world it envisions for all of us is small, flat, gray, leveled of all exception, drained of all that is good and noble in the human soul.
What's your response to that, Gustavo?
I would say that we are looking to, when we look at to take inspiration from governments abroad, we're looking at countries like Norway, Sweden, cities like Vienna that have.
These people are so easy to destroy. They keep bringing up these things. Norway, Sweden. First of all, they're the size of one small city in America. I mean, one big city. Number two, they're capitalist. They don't even realize what they're saying. They're not socialist countries.
Actually created affordable housing for all under socialist governments.
All of them have very active capitalism happening in those countries, though. They have big technology investments, very big companies that do well.
We are still operating in capitalism.
Yeah.
We're trying to pass transformative reforms to create an economy that will work for the working class. And we've seen that happen already in history in Sweden and in Norway. And yet, in those countries, a very large portion of the economy is publicly owned.
I had to stop for a second because somebody, as many people do sometimes, are contrary to what I say. Somebody said the profit margin in a grocery store is 35%. You got that wrong. You're completely wrong. The profit margin in a grocery store is between 1% and 3%. When you look up something, understand what you need to look up, not the markup. The markup may be 35%, as somebody said. The profit margin is 1 to 3, maybe if you're really good, 4%. Big difference. And so the margin that grocers make is very, very tight, 1 to 4%.
That's a system that we want to bring, for example, to the electricity system here in the United States. Mm-hmm. We think it would be better if the government had a bigger role in operating the grid, and actually most voters agree with that.
I love how they put their estimates on it. Most voters agree with it. Where? By the way, why don't you go to Sweden? That would be a good question she should have asked him. Why don't you just move to Sweden? Or Norway? Oh, they won't let you in. They have borders. That's why they can't go to these other countries, so they're trying to infect us.
25% of the energy generation here in New York is publicly owned. Yeah. It's the most affordable energy.
Well, there's always been a New York Power Authority. In fact, my grandfather served on the New York Power Authority many years ago. And so there is a public role, I think, for that. But then you look at like these wind farm projects that were so, completely unaffordable. And they basically had to scrap all of these wind farms because they couldn't afford to build them. And also because they didn't go through the environmental process to prove that they weren't going to damage the ocean.
Those wind farms were being built by private developers who need a profit. And it's when we're giving private large developers an increasing large share for every project.
But don't you think that these builders have expertise and understanding of the business of it? Like, what part of the government is really awesome at creating a very efficient, well-run industry or business? Tell me, can you point to anything?
The New York Power Authority, you named it, is such a well-run agency that manages large-scale generation in New York City. Our water is municipally run. Mm. It's some of the best water in the country.
Well, those things have been in place for decades, as I just pointed out. But, the question of whether or not you want a larger role for the government is one of the big questions here. Let's take a look at the homeless encampment that has just sprung up along West 45th Street. And this is after Mayor Mamdani is in office. He doesn't want to remove any homeless people from the streets. And it's causing a lot of problems for the small business owners that try to have a company, a business along that route. What do you think of this when you look at this squalor in New York City?
I think it's a huge crisis. And it's been around since capitalists have been mayors for decades. Yes, it has.
Like that. I've been here for a very long time, and these things come and go. Mayor Adams actually removed the homeless encampments from the streets because they're not safe for the people who live there, and they're not safe for the people who live around them.
The problem we're facing in our housing system is that we talk about tenants and we say they have to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. They have to be responsible financially.
Is that a bad thing? I just wanted to stop right there. You have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You have to be financially responsible. We're all taught that as a young age. He's young. I don't know why he wasn't taught. That's not a bad thing. That is not a character flaw. That actually makes sense. They're looking at that is a bad word.
When we look at the landlords, we don't use those same standards. Landlords in New York have been making a 12% return on their investment on average.
How much should they make? What's fair for the landlord to make if you don't like 12?
They're complaining that 12 is not enough. And we don't think that anyone should have a constitutional right to double-digit returns on.
Martha, you're better than me. Because at that point, I would have had to hit the Elon Musk video and say, go F yourself. We don't think anybody should be entitled to a 10 or 12% return on an investment. You don't think people need to know this? I don't even do a deal. I won't even look at a real estate deal unless it's double-digit returns. And I guess he's never heard of hard money. They won't lend you any money unless it's probably double-digit returns. And anyone who bought stock or got some IPO with SpaceX or bought silver when it was going really well and have experienced unbelievable returns, he's saying nobody is entitled or deserves double-digit returns. The Democrat socialists just said now they don't think or that they should impute upon you what you're allowed to make. Oh my God. What has happened to these kids? Where did they go off the rails? I could not even imagine looking at somebody prospering, somebody's business flourishing and going, man, they probably made 15%. We shouldn't have that. You're not allowed to make 15%. Now think of it. All of you who have owned businesses or have bought stock or bought gold or silver or anything, and the upside, you manage your downside, and the upside is why you got in. You got into that stock. You bought silver. You bought gold. You bought SpaceX. You bought Microsoft or Google. You didn't buy it for a ceiling. And the money you spent allowed those companies to continue growing. And there was never anything where you said, you know what, as long as I make 10%, I'm good. I'm gonna get rid of it if I get to 10. I'm not allowed to go over 10. You can look on television and see people are doing 10% a year, 12% a year. When I was doing funds, I would offer people 14%. And the investors would love it because they were getting a 14% guaranteed return on a property. My gosh. It's envy that's driving these people. To arbitrarily pick up a number and say you shouldn't be able to do that. Why? We're taking the risk. If I were to buy a property and I was willing to put the money into it, to renovate it, to do everything to make it habitable so somebody can move in, and the market says that this apartment goes for $1,000 a month, and I've done my homework in advance, and I said, if I get $1,000 a month, I'm going to make a 16 or 18% annually, in addition to my appreciation and depreciation. He don't even know about that part. No, you shouldn't be able to do that. Says who?
Their investment. That's why we've implemented.
No one should have a right to a double-digit return on their investment.
No one has a right. That's not.
Mark it down. You might not have known it. This is what they're saying it in public. They are telling you this is where we're headed. And they're winning elections. It's not like they're saying this stuff and people are like, they're winning. There's a legion of orcs out there who are convincing other people that you shouldn't be allowed to make certain amount. And if they decide that amount is even lower, let's crank it down. You're not allowed to make more than 5%. You know what? You're not allowed to make more than 3%. It destroys the economy. It goes away. I drive up and down the street looking at for sale signs, come back and do my homework, find out what my cap rate is. This guy probably has no idea what a cap rate is. And I plug it into my computer and what's the cap rate if I buy this at X price? Oh, nope, not going to look at it. Why? It only kicks off like a 6% cap. I don't, it ain't worth it to me at this time in my life to look at something that pumps off a 6% cap. All right, look. Oh, this one here looks like it's about a 19. Yeah, it's got a 19% cap rate. Oh, yeah. Let's go. Sorry, Barry. What? That other 9%? We'll let you have 9. You're not allowed double digits. We're going to crank it down. You can't have that. Says effing who?
No,
what are you talking
no
about?
one's in that. That's not in the
I love what she said. What are you talking about? What exactly are you talking about? Understand, as you're looking at little Commie here, somebody cut his hair. Did you ask them if they were making 10%? Somebody shaped up that little Hitler-esque mustache. Somebody made that shirt. Somebody made that jacket. Every single thing that you have on, somebody made and put a price tag according to it. Should they, you need to determine them? My Ashley and the grandkids were at a concert tonight. I'm sure well, I know how much we paid, but it was a lot more than 10%. I don't want to go down this road. I don't want to live in this type of a country. I don't want to associate with people like this. And I'm pretty sure most of you do not want to associate with morons like this. And you definitely don't want them governing you. So just to recap, in the last couple minutes here, you've heard one guy say we're going to go away from American law and we're going to, follow the international court and arrest people. And another guy come out and say, you know what? Now we're also going to say you can't make more than 10%. And then earlier, we're going to rip up the Declaration of Independence. And by the way, we're not going to pay any rent. What a lesson.
But what we see is that when we implement a rent freeze, we have landlords who are crying that the government is going to put them out of business.
They're trying to run a business, and they're trying to do it effectively. No, are all landlords perfect? Are some landlords lousy? Of course they are. But I just think that the idea that no one should make a double-digit profit is the antithesis of the desire to, you can be anything you want to be in New York. I actually, and this goes to an issue of something that you mentioned.
Yeah, he can't address that. Why can't he address that? Because that's not what they want. See, it was so ingrained in her, wait a minute, you should be able to do whatever you want. You should be able to reach for the stars. And he just sat there. No. You shouldn't be able to do that. You shouldn't be able to have a grocery store. You shouldn't be able to rent out property. Well, who's going to rent it to them? Oh, the city's going to own it. We're gonna foreclose or do eminent domain and give out free apartments to people. You understand the danger that they're sliding into? Just understand this for a second. He offered free childcare. He offered free, what's it called? After school care or whatever, daycare. They want to provide your food. They want to provide your housing. They want to provide your medical. At that point, you become completely beholden to the government. I would venture to say 90+% of the people watching this video and who will watch this video in the future will say, I don't have a dependency on the government to survive. I have my own place to live. I buy my own food. I buy my own car. I go where I want. I go to the movie. I go to the baseball game. I go to where I choose based upon what I can afford. And these people are saying, nope, that's not the world we're going to live in. Everybody has to be right here. Some people will be elevated to happiness and other people will be deflated to misery. How's that going to work? You think everybody's on the same plane, but you're only talking about you miserable people who don't want to do anything, and you're talking about people who are succeeding. We got to chop their legs out and bring them back down here, and these people are going to be miserable. Every single one of you, depending upon your position financially, is probably better off than somebody else. Even though it may not seem like that wherever you are right now. You may say, "Oh, Barry, I'm struggling." Nope, you're not. According to them. You have more than somebody else has. Well, Barry, I can't even afford to go to a movie. That's all right. You got lights on. You got any money in the bank? What did you have for dinner? Was it spaghetti? Oh, you had a steak. Yeah, no more steak for you. No, you're going to the company store. You're going to go to the government store, and we can check, and you bought steak last week. Taquisha, she didn't have steak. So this week, you got to eat Spam, and we're going to let Taquisha have the steak. But I want to buy a steak. Nope. No. You already had it. We looked it up. Also, just so you know, you've been using too much electricity. You didn't keep your thermostat on 78 like we told you. So now we're going to have to, you're going to have to go up to 80, 82. You've been using more than we allotted. You think I'm kidding? Did you think you'd ever hear the mayor of a city in the United States say he wants to listen to the International Criminal Court as jurisdiction? Do you ever think you'd see somebody on a national television show in a movement that is growing say you don't deserve 10%? Even if you're not investing, even if you don't have anything, it should make the skin on the back, the hair on the back of your neck crawl because somebody in a governmental position is telling you what you can or can't do. This is tailor-made for a landslide in November. The more we expose this, the more they expose themselves, we need to tell each other, this is the stuff that Trump can get the rest of the Republicans, wake the F up. This win is being served up to you. It is there to be taken. Quit bitching about the Save America Act and breaking the filibuster. Break it all. Not last question, but what you've heard tonight, do you have any doubt whatsoever in your mind? And I don't normally do the whole thing with hit a number here or hit a number there because I think it's just engagement bait. But I'd love to know if you do you have any doubt in your mind that these asshats wouldn't break the filibuster for what they want to do to you? How fast do you, probably day one, no filibuster, pack the court, do whatever we need to do, shut America down. How do you have any doubt whatsoever? So what in the hell are the Republicans doing?
You called the police commissioner of a Skyan billionaire family, the Tisch family, Jessica Tisch. And I just want to, she's serving the city. Obviously, she doesn't need to work. She comes from a very successful family. They were immigrants from Ukraine and Poland, and they bought a rundown hotel in New Jersey, managed to turn it around, managed to make a profit on it, managed to make a business, and they became very successful. But she chooses to oversee the police code. And I did an interview the other day, just in terms of defunding police, with two hero police officers who saved a woman who wanted to take her own life on the Brooklyn Bridge. And it made me think about this issue of, we need more mental health professionals than we do cops, and we should have fewer cops. And I just want to play this quick soundbite for you and get your reaction to it.
His first job was flipping burgers at a Jack in the Box because he needed a job to get an apartment, put a roof over our heads. He sold men's clothing at the men's department at JCPenney's, and he worked his way up to General Motors. And look at where I am now. My brother is an ER doctor. My sister is a psychologist at the Cleveland Clinic. Look at where we are now in just one generation.
All right, that was.
How many people have that story? My parents did whatever they could do. They clawed. She's what's her name? Aishna Hashni. She's not from here, and her parents did everything to make sure that the kids had the ability to succeed. It took working 2 jobs. I remember that used to be a joke about Jamaicans. I worked 3 jobs, man. In fact, there was a time I did work 3 jobs. 3. It was, Robin thought I was Superman. I'm like, no, I got to do it. We got to get out of here. We got to make this happen. We got to do this. I worked 3 jobs. Most of you probably have worked 2 or 3 jobs. You did what was necessary. You can't look at somebody and go, you hungry? That's going to be a long night. You know what's worse than looking at somebody seeing them hungry? When you live up north and it's cold and you can't pay for the electricity or the heat. How do you just decide, yeah, you'll be all right, here's a blanket. Oh, Dad, it's like 5 degrees outside. If you've never experienced that, let me tell you a quick anecdote. I never experienced it because we couldn't pay for it. I experienced it because the gauge on our oil tank wasn't working. And I'm like, okay, the guy will be here tomorrow. We'll be good. We'll get through the night. And then all of a sudden, about 1 o'clock in the morning, you started feels chilly. Somebody leave a window open somewhere? And what had happened, I don't know if you guys ever lived up north, but the oil ran out. There was no more oil in the tank. The system shuts down. You got no heat. And it wasn't because of financial, it was because of ineptitude. I didn't get the gauge. And I looked over and Robin's like, are you serious? Come on, honey. We'll just we'll stay warm. No, you do what it takes, no matter what it takes. And these kids somehow have forgotten that.
Another example that I have, so we'll switch gears for a second. That's Aisha Hazmi. She works here. Her family immigrated from Pakistan. Her father flipped hamburgers and worked 3 jobs in order to put his kids through college, and they became successful. Is that your idea of the American dream?
You know, you're describing actually what my parents did when they moved here.
Wonderful.
My dad.
Then what the hell happened to you? What? You describing what my parents did, he says. Okay, then how the hell are you a commie? You just saw the woman tell you, what her parents did for her, and now she's this, and her brother's that, and the other thing. What happened to you?
His first job in the United States was working at Wendy's. My mom's first job was a house cleaner. And they did make a living for themselves, and they had success. At the same time, I think that they're an exception.
No, that's the problem. You are too stupid to know most of us did this. My first job, my very first job, it was a store called Caldors. It was like a Kmart competitor back then up north. And I worked in the seasonal department. Again, between them and my father, they thought I was a forklift because all I had to do was move wood chips and stuff and carry stuff around. But that was my first job. We all had those grunt jobs. These kids don't want to do the grunt jobs. They don't want to work their way up. They want it here. But hey, man, you got to go work in Wendy's. Your father did it. This dude's father worked at Wendy's.
I see the people of my generation, my friends, they feel like they can't afford to have a family anymore because the prices have skyrocketed so much.
Okay, so what he just did there was skip over that entire period. Number one, you shouldn't be looking at having a family until you've done the other stuff first. Why aren't your friends working 2 jobs or 3 jobs to actually get to the point where they can go ahead and have kids? Nope, we just want to have kids. You can't afford having kids. A lot of people can't afford having kids. That's why they're on welfare.
New York City has become such a playground for the rich that young people, they feel like they can't live here and have babies anymore. And that's why we're implementing...
The early immigrants had like 8 babies in a tenement apartment in New York. They didn't think about whether or not they could afford 8 babies. They were like, okay, we're just going to embrace life and we're going to have a big family and we're going to figure out a way to make this work.
I don't think that returning to tenement squalor is...
I'm not suggesting people should.
She wasn't talking about tenement squalor. She was talking about just living in a tenement. To them, it's squalor. Our sites are here. I need the beachside mansion. We've talked about that a few times. We'll probably talk about it again because I got something to show you. But the whole problem is they have no direction. Listen, work here at Wendy's. In a couple of years, you might get to the fry-later. And then a year or so after that, you might be a manager. And then there at that point, you might be a GM or you might be recruited to go someplace else. Nobody wants to put the time in anymore. That's the problem. They don't look to the point where, you know what, I got to put my dues in here. I've got to work. I've got to do something to get to the point where I'm making good money. I'm pretty sure Martha McCallum didn't show up one day at Fox and said, I want my own show. They're going to look at her and go, here's what you did. What did you do? These people don't build their resumes. They don't have any idea. We want the fast tracked. That's a problem.
Saying that that's what happened, you know, and then the generations became more and more successful over time.
I think that what's happening now is people are struggling against the economic reality. Mm-hmm. They're coming together and they're organizing for a new political and economic system.
Right.
The time you're spending coming together trying to do a new economic system, you could be working someplace. You know, coming together and trying to form a new economic system doesn't get you any money. And here's another thing. Why the hell are you living where you can't afford? I'm pretty sure a lot of people would love to live in Manhattan. If you can't afford it, what are you still doing there? People move to go to places where they can afford.
We're going to be watching the progress of your group, the DSA, and you had some big wins in recent primaries. It's a very interesting debate to have about what makes this country tick and who we are. So I thank you very much for joining me. Thanks, Gustavo. Good to have you with us today.
Like I said, you really have to understand what's happening in our country and be happy about it. Because we just need to, I think, educate more and more people as to what these people are doing before it gets to the point where these people take over. So I'm going to keep moving here. I want you to see this. This was somebody actually had texted me and he said, Barry, do you have any comment in regards to what J.D. Vance said on Joe Rogan? And I'm like, well, they talk for 3 hours. Which part? And so somebody sent me this. I'm like, oh, I can talk to this. Oh, it fits right into this show. Let's get into it.
When I like, okay, let me play devil's advocate with the DSA, because I think that their ideas are crazy, and I think that you're right. They will lead to a very totalitarian place. I'm not defending a single thing that they say, particularly their hatred of ice cream. What I am saying is, and maybe this is just sort of the way my mind works, I tend to be a little bit more empathetic. Why are young people attracted to socialism in 21st century America? One of the best interviews that Charlie Kirk ever gave, it was right before he died. It was an episode that he did with Tucker Carlson where he talked about the fact that if you don't give young people a stake, if you don't give them ownership, if you don't give them a sense of the American dream and of possibility in the future, they're going to become socialists. Like if you have a zero-sum environment for a 25-year-old in this country, they're going to start to say the only way for me to get anything is to take away from somebody else. So we have to get away from like the zero-sum thinking. I think that's like the root cause of this. But I also think that, look, we've ran an experiment in the United States of America. And, you know, I think that we have undone that experiment, taken it in a different direction in the Trump administration, where ship all the factories overseas and let low-wage foreigners make our stuff. That was a bad deal for American workers. Again, it takes a long time to reverse that trend, but I think it's one of the best parts of Trump administration policy is you do see that trend starting to reverse. This idea that nobody should own anything, we should all become renters, whereas what we're trying to do is lower interest rates. You actually have seen housing costs stabilize in the country over the last year and a half, frankly, because of immigration. We had way too many people going after way too many homes. You close the border. This is one of the reasons why rents and housing costs have stabilized a little bit. So I think that unless you go down that pathway of allowing young Americans to own something, socialism is the inevitable outcome.
When it doesn't have to be. I obviously love J.D. Vance. I think he's brilliant. I think he could be our next president. But he's the vice president to arguably the most successful real estate involved president ever, businessman. And the part that I think we are having a problem with in this country is expectations. Being in real estate for so long myself, I have seen it firsthand. I've told you guys many times. And every time I try to have a conversation with people and tell them there's nothing holding you back, they don't want to hear it. I'm talking about these young people. I can tell you straight up, when my young 17-year-old grandson, who is going to be a senior in high school, when he gets to college, he will own his own property. Whether it's a duplex or a home, he will own it. By the time he graduates, he will probably own 2 or 3 more. The difference between what he will have versus these kids in the DSA who feel like life is futile is A, direction. Somebody has not told these people what track they need to be going down. I don't think our vice president should have to be worried about educating these morons. How will my grandson have his first house when he's a freshman in college at 18? College, 18. He will have his first house because we will be setting him up on a track so that he can do that. We already know, based upon anywhere he goes in the country, here's what is going to cost basically for a house near a campus. And I already know, because being in real estate, and I've told you guys this many, many times, there's a thing called an FHA mortgage. The FHA mortgage, which Scott Turner and many other people have tried to show people this is how you do it, only requires a 3% down payment. So what that means is if you're going to buy a $300,000 house, you need $9,000. If you want to buy a $400,000 house, you need $12,000. Now, right now, today, that may seem like a whole lot of money. But now my grandson has been working for the last year, so by the time he gets to be in college, it'll be 2 years, where at that point, he'll be ready to put a down payment. It's not insurmountable. And he's not even working. Now, let's say you're the guy who was just talking to Martha McCallum, and we said, listen, Sparky, you're going to be able to buy a house for $300,000 or $400,000. It ain't going to be in Manhattan. Sorry, that ain't going to happen. Just not going to happen. Not in the cards. You're not there yet. Unless you want to live in a tenement, but then you're going to just be a renter. But you know what? Move into Tenafly, New Jersey. Move into, I don't know, any of the suburbs around there, and find yourself a $300,000 or $400,000 house or a duplex. Maybe find it, if it's a duplex or quad, maybe you can go up to $500,000. It is July of 2026. By July of 2027, you need to save and put away $9,000 or $10,000. Sounds insurmountable today. Oh my God, that's so much money. Until you realize it's not. Until you realize, okay, so here's what I can do. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to save what I can. And maybe a year from now, you're at $4,000 or $5,000. You can't come up with the entire 9 or 10. Well, then you could find someone to gift you the balance. Well, it might be a relative, an uncle, a grandfather. But let's say you don't have that. There's organizations that will help you with down payment assistance. And there's all kinds of different programs that will help you. There are employers that will help you with down payment assistance. So now you've closed the gap. You're right here. You're right here, and you're gonna have a home. There's no excuse. There is no futility. It is a almost guaranteed thing that you will have a house to live in. All you have to do is start showing the initiative to put some money away. Even if you're not there today, maybe it's going to take you 18 months. There is no problem right now with anybody trying to find a home. I'm telling you that straight up. Look right in the camera. I've got anybody anywhere in the country. You could drop me off a plane with a parachute and I'd have a house within 6 days. It's that simple. The problem is nobody's telling people this. They feel hopeless. And I do mean this. Unless I landed in, Palm Beach where Trump is, no, you're not going to live there. I would know, whoa, I can't buy a house here. But if I go across the bridge to West Palm Beach, a mile or two away, oh, I'm going to buy a house here. Literally, I could parachute into any area of the country and buy a house within 6 days and only have to come up with a certain amount down payment. Now, the other aspect to that is credit, which is why the first thing that Mandami tried to do is eliminate income verification, and he wanted to eliminate credit checks. Why? Because he wants to keep these people in squalor. That's your squalor certificate. If you're a deadbeat, you can continue being a deadbeat, and you don't have to change anything. My grandson's 17. He'll have a credit card when he turns 18 that will allow him to continue building credit. How's he going to get a credit card? I can't get a credit card. You go get a secured card. You go take $400 or $500, go into the bank and say, I want to hypothecate this. I want to put it in a CD. I want you to give me a credit card equal to the balance of my CD. I bet you wherever you live, there is a bank that will do that for you. And now you've got a credit card, which enables you to begin building credit. And within a year, now they're going to say, hey, we're going to give you a line of credit for $2,000. Wow. So that's how it works. Is nobody explaining this to these kids? Is nobody sitting down? I literally just took 5 minutes and I can solve their problems. Dave Ramsey, he can solve your problem. What the hell is this big thing about there's no housing, that they can't buy a house? It makes absolutely no sense. I'm not the only one who can say this. There are many people, and we sit back going, scratching our head going, what the hell are they talking about? Well, the only reason they could be saying it is because they can't afford the house they want. They need to go buy the Mick Jagger and the Stones song. You can't always get what you want, but you might get what you need. Buy the house that you can afford, and then let your appreciation and depreciation get you into the next house. Where we're living right now is not where I was living 20 years ago with Robin. No. You have to have a plan, a futuristic plan where you're going to want to go. Why don't these kids have that? Why don't they have the ethic, the work ethic, the financial ethic to say, this is where we're going to be a year from now? Why are their parents, their uncles, their teachers? Why is the futility taking over where people, we're never going to be able to buy a house? You're full of shit. If somebody says that to you, tell them they're lying to themselves. Straight up. Hey, Barry told me you're a liar. You can get a house right now. You can go on Zillow and look at any area of the country and find someplace that you can afford. I swear, even here in Boca, right here in Boca Raton, where people think it's crazy expensive, you can buy a condo in Boca in some developments for like 90 grand, 89 grand. Now, what's your down payment? What's your down payment on that? 3% of 90, that's $2,700. That's all I got to come up with? Yeah. In a year? Maybe you don't want to buy that latte grand double latte. Nope, I'm saving up for my condo next year. Or maybe Aunt Jenny's going to say, here's $2,700, go get your house. I challenge anybody, anywhere in the country, to tell me they can't afford a house. Anybody. The problem is, it may not be the one you want. And that's what these kids are having a problem with. They don't like keeping up with the Joneses. If somebody has a bike and somebody comes past them in a scooter, I want a scooter. And if somebody has a Mustang and somebody comes by in a Hummer, I want the Hummer. Well, you still can drive the Yugo. You don't need the Hummer. You just need four wheels that can get you there. You don't need the house on the beach. You want the house on the beach. These people haven't learned the difference between desire and need. And so it's too easy for Americans to say it's too expensive. And it's a crock. An absolute crock.
I think that's good? No. But I really do worry, and I see this, frankly, more in my own party than I do on the other side. There is this revulsion to socialism that's totally justified without enough thinking about how did we get here in the first place.
Right.
And if we don't fix that, and I would say if we don't get back to a more Christian sort of understanding of economics, socialism is the alternative.
And that is where the problem is. They have no God. They want nothing to do with God. They want nothing to do with being good stewards. They want nothing to do with practicing what's needed to improve your life. And I'm not speaking from a high horse. We've all been there. We were all 18, 19, and 20 doing crazy stuff until, as the Bible says, you end up putting away childish things. When you're young and you think you're 12 feet tall and bulletproof, oh, that's fine. It's fantastic. We're living my best life down here. And then all of a sudden it ends. The friends are gone. You're left there with maybe some booze. And you have to change your lifestyle. And it's very hard for some people. It's very hard. And I think that's what we're seeing with the young people today. And I have to tell you, it's because I'm around younger people. I see my daughter and my son-in-law. I see my grandson. I see his friends. I understand what they're doing. It's the people guiding you. And yeah, I can drive down the beach and he can see mansions. He's like, I told him, you can look. You can look. You can use that as aspiration, not dejection.
Like that is where this goes.
Well,
if people don't
think
own
the
anything,
game is rigged.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in some ways, Joe, the game is rigged.
Yes.
Yes. If you look at, again, I think so much of housing because, this happened, I think it was during the presidential campaign, maybe it was right before. But I was talking to some family members over Thanksgiving and, just a sort of a younger friend of my wife's. They were like 5 or 6 years behind us. They were just about to get married. And this young woman, successful engineer, makes a higher salary than most Americans. She just sort of like tossed out there that, when her parents' generation was coming up, it was like possible to own a house and to raise a family and not be worried that much about things. And my thought was, okay, you're an engineer. You make way more money than 75% of people your age, maybe 90% of people your age. And you think that it is like this ridiculous, unachievable objective to have literally what your parents had, which is a decent job, a nice house, and a safe place. Like at that same dinner, like another friend of my wife's was talking about this, and he, South Indian family, grew up, his parents immigrated. He was born and raised in San Diego. And he was like, when I was growing up in Oceanside, this is like a suburb of San Diego where a lot of Marines live in Oceanside. It's close to Camp Pendleton. So when I was growing up, all of my, like the kids that I played with, that I rode bikes with, that I was, playing street hockey with and football with, all of those kids were the sons of enlisted Marines in Oceanside, California. And then we went and looked at like Oceanside, California rents. Again, this is a couple years ago, rents and housing prices. Like every house was north of $1 million on the street this guy grew up in. And enlisted Marine, frankly, most Marine officers could not afford to buy $1 million house. So like, does the socialism thing scare me? Yes. Is it the wrong solution? Yes. But one thing I try to persuade my fellow Republicans of is socialism is the alternative if we don't have a pathway to give people a sense that the system is not rigged and that the American dream is attainable. That's like our job. That's what we have to do.
That's it. That's our job. Our job is to let these people know that they've been given wrong information, that they're not understanding, that they can indeed succeed. Which is really weird because if you've never experienced success, you don't realize it's attainable. And I think that's a big problem. As I've seen some of these people, unfortunately, they seem like life losers. Not one of these people who I've seen interviewed, nobody asked them, but I would ask them, so what have you done in your life? Have you played on a team? Have you done anything? Have you accomplished anything? Is there any degree of success in anything you've done? Have you raised a child? Have you been married successfully? What have you done? I want to draw a chart, and I'm going to draw this line here, just a line down, and I want you to tell me all your successes and over here, all of your negatives. Okay, let's go. What have you succeeded in? That's the problem. Everything on the right, they can tell you. I lost my girlfriend. I lost my job. My car broke. Okay. What have you succeeded in? What have you attained? Because if these people have never tasted success, it's very hard for them to understand it's attainable. And as you watch and look forward, you see they're being led by people who are making a lot of money, the Bernie Sanders. What did Bernie do? Well, until I got here, I wasn't doing nothing. But now all of a sudden I made a whole bunch of money. I bought 3 houses. But don't watch me over here. AOC, what did you do? I was a bartender, but now I got a lot of money. Ilhan Omar. I was walking around with dirty sandals, but then, then we had 40 million. Now we got no million. I don't even know. But you ask this average kid, this young person, not the people leading them, because those people leading them are Trojan horses who've already put a whole bunch of money in their pocket, trying to pretend we're in the struggle together. Hassan Piker, big money. All these people who are supposedly behind the struggle are making all kinds of money, and these kids think, they're behind us. No, you're just a cog in the wheel. I need to know from you, what are you doing for success? What have you done? So our job is basically to try and get these people to embrace being successful. You can't get anything if you don't have the ability to do it. Otherwise, you're just going to keep squallowing around, not paying your rent, playing video games, stuff that you can actually afford, instead of looking for something successful. And I loved what J.D. Vance said. Socialism is the alternative to people who, he didn't say it, but I took it this way. Socialism is the alternative to people who have never experienced success. That's why they're doing it. They're life losers. They can't put anything together in regards to, what do I do with my life? It's too easy. I mean, I can imagine if I was in college, if I wasn't playing sports and if I wasn't in a fraternity and I didn't have any parental direction, all those things would have had to not been there. I could see that, yeah, this sucks. This really sucks. They got to pay the student loan. I don't have the money for it. And now I'm like, pouring coffee. Yeah, life would suck. Nobody's there to tell you, hey, you can do something different. And now you're 25, 26, 27, 30. and you're looking at a mountain of debt from student loans, and your job sucks, your life sucks, you got no family, you got no girlfriend, you got no kids. What do you do? What do you do at that point? At that point, you are a life's loser, and you're trying to build up some sort of impressive facade that if I can make other people miserable and take their stuff, you don't deserve that. You don't deserve 10%. I couldn't get 10%. Nobody helped me get 10% on my investment. Nobody allowed me to have the house on the beach, so you shouldn't have it. Nobody deserves to be a billionaire. Nobody deserves to be a millionaire. Nobody definitely doesn't deserve to be a trillionaire. Why? Because I couldn't. Instead of looking at people like that as something to model and be aspiration, am I going to make $1 trillion? Nope. See, the honesty is the second part. Nope, ain't gonna happen. I remember driving down the beach with my sister. She's like, if I ever hit the lottery, I'd buy one of those houses. Like, you'd have to hit the lottery twice. Reality has to hit to these people. That ain't gonna happen. There's no Shazam. There's no wishing. It's hard work and knowledge of how to get there. So when J.D. Vance said, our job, your job, everybody in the chat, to stop this is to help these kids realize that you do have a future. It's not hopeless. You just have to know what to do and want to do it. That's the other part. You have to want to do it. Otherwise, you see where they're going. They are so angry. They are so mad. They are so hopeless. They want to tear it completely down and start over. And even that roadmap is going to basically run in headfirst into a train because they can't even understand what they're doing here. They don't understand anything. Like I said, the guy's shirt, the guy's jacket, how he got to the studio, everything about his life, somebody is paying for something to make it. And so because it becomes a difference between a maker and a taker, the takers at this point have no future. So when he was talking about Charlie Kirk's speech and how he said, as a politician, it's incumbent upon them to show people you can win. My concern is I just wonder if they've thrown the towel in. At this point, you want to be a communist. It looks too good. I don't think anybody should have that. Is probably the saddest thing I've heard in quite some time. Nobody deserves to have double-digit returns. Like, wow. Think about that. Nobody. That's what I think, number one, we need to be aware of. Number two, unfortunately, buddy, we're going to have to use that against you and let everybody know that you vipers, that you suckers of life are out there trying to destroy our lives. And in that regard, I ain't got time for that. I'll help you, but you better be ready. I don't have time for the crying and whining. So I hope you guys understand those two interviews between the whack job Mondami and this kid. This is where they're going. I mean, it's bad, but America needs us to do something about it. And J.D. Vance said it. It's our job to educate them. We can save some. I'm certain we can save some. All right, SV, you still here? There he is.
Hey, I'm here to the end, man. You know, it's funny, that guy earlier, I've never seen a turkey-looking man bun before.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep, that was a new one for me. I have a couple of Tom Homan stories, and then the last two are updates for some stuff from the strikes over in Iran.
All right, I got the Tom Homan's got a video here. Oh, it's hold on, let me see.
Yeah, it's all okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, what were you saying?
Well, I was gonna say I think it's all the same interview, but it's different cuts for three different things.
You know what? Let me go to break so I can download them, and I'll come back to you.
Okay, sounds good.
to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so I've got these videos downloaded. Let me let SV set them up while I check the sound. So what's this first one here?
Oh yeah, the first one, cut number 9, as Tom Homan announces that DHS had to release 65,000 illegal aliens because of activist judges. I didn't even know that one.
Wow. All right, let me play this.
You read the radical left, call them Nazis and racists, and which is reason why the threats are up so high. You got members of Congress want to call them racist and secret police when they're simply enforcing laws they enacted. And if they're Nazis and police for enforcing the law they enacted, what's that make them? They wrote the law. So because that hateful rhetoric is why these are attacks. That's why we have necessary to wear masks. That's why the violence. That's why the shootings. I'm putting the blame back on the Democrats because they have messages for a year now. ICE isn't a real law enforcement agency. You need to resist. Right? I see resist at every protest. So now the population out there says it's okay to take ICE on. So if the open borders people and the Democrats on the Hill will stop the hateful rhetoric against ICE and recognize they're a legitimate law enforcement agency that's keeping this country safe, and they're working for the greatest president in my lifetime who's done more for border security than anybody. Most secure border in history of this nation because of President Trump. We even beat Trump 45. Record numbers deportation because of President Trump's leadership. So I wish that the Hill, the congressman on Hill, you know what? Strap up. Put a gun in your hip, put a Kevlar vest on, go up with the ICE agents, now badmouth them when you see what they're dealing with every day because of your hateful rhetoric.
Ooh.
Strap them on, buddies.
Yes, saddle up, put on a vest and go. Oh my gosh. So I don't know if I have them in the right order, but with him, I don't know.
Well, it's funny now that I heard that whole cut, he actually talks about it in the other two. So I think the only one you really need to bring on is the number, 10, I think, where he confirms
is that the one with is that the one with Tommy? Okay, I see it. Yeah.
With all the holdups that the Democrats give us in terms of everything on this president's agenda, including Save America Act, it feels like the one thing that we could possibly carry out beyond just closing down the border, which the president has done and you have done and has been fantastic, is the promise of these mass deportations. Now, there's been rumblings that perhaps now it's just targeted. Now it's just we're going to go after the worst of the worst, which I want them out too, but that perhaps this goal of mass deportations is not the mission anymore under this secretary. So I want to give you a chance to explain to the American people where we are in that process.
Mass deportations is still the plan, but prioritization of the worst of the criminals doesn't mean we forget about everybody else. And let me give you a clear example of where we're at. So 60% of everybody we're arresting right now is a criminal, 40% are non-criminal. So we are arresting a lot of non-criminals. I think 60% criminal, 40% non-criminal is actually better than 40% non-criminal, 60% non-criminal. I just think it's better. But the numbers are what they are now. A few months ago, people were screaming and yelling. The numbers are down. Well, the government was shut down. DHS was shut down. But what happens when we got the reconciliation bill passed? Right now, we're up 40% over last year. So everybody says last year was a good year. It's a historic year last year. We arrested, deported more people than any president in history last year. Right now, we're on a track of beating that by 40% right now. In June, ICE arrested more illegal aliens in June than any month in history. I looked at the number this morning. July looks like it's tracking to beat June. So look, we're hitting on all cylinders right now. We're doing a great job. But when it comes to removals, we had record number of removals last year. But here's what people don't understand. They say, we want more, we want more, we want more. It's not a simple case of arresting, deporting. There's a process to find them, and there's a whole process between the arrests and deportations. What people don't understand, despite all the pushback we're getting right now, there's over 100 nationwide injunctions against us for arrests, detention, removals. Over 100. That's more nationwide injunctions than every president in the history of this nation combined. So it's an all-out assault on the Trump administration. So we got over 100 nationwide injunctions. The government was shut down for months. We have a record number of habeas cases filed by radical judges, where I was told yesterday the number is around 65,000 people that we arrested that we had to release because of habeas cases out of radical judges. So there's a lot we're fighting against, but more than any other president. But even though we have all those struggles with the courts and the open borders agenda, we're still breaking records.
Did he say they had to release 65,000 people?
Yeah, I did not know that.
Oh my
And so they're
gosh.
roaming around causing all sorts of chaos and hell. Ay, ay, ay.
Oh my gosh.
Support them all, damn it.
Ugh.
All right,
Anything new about the war? Oh yeah, I see.
yeah,
Okay,
so
hold on.
cuts 12 and 13. 12 and 13. Ignore the 11.
Okay,
That's kind of
here's number 12.
All right.
Right?
So yeah. So this is Trump ordered now that they're bombing pretty much every major Iranian province adjacent to the Strait of Hormuz and Arabian Gulf. Retaliatory Iranian strikes are to be expected in the near term. So this is, as you said earlier, this just began. So it's going to be a busy night in Iran with a lot of the stuff going down. And then the next cut was interesting. It has a little bit more context about the bombing the ballistic missile strike in Jordan. So according to the Wall Street Journal, multiple U.S. manned and unmanned aircraft were reportedly damaged in Iran's attack on the Salty Air Base in Jordan, which include the two U.S. service members that were unalived. Hundreds of U.S. personnel and dozens of aircraft had been temporarily stationed at the base for strikes on Iran. The strike reflects an increasing focus on targeting U.S. air assets as the conflict continues to escalate. So what I'm saying is we got to prevent this information from going out, because it's smart on their part, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they got a lot of soldiers there, a lot of our equipment. So somehow we got to find out how they got that information. And, I guess Russia also has satellites up there and says, hey, psst, that's where they are, somehow we got to hide that.
I hope it's not here. I hope it's not internal. Somebody's leaking the information. Because that was the first thing I thought. Because I'm thinking to myself, I don't know. I don't know if Xi Jinping and Putin want to get involved at this point. And so my initial thought was somebody internal. Because I've seen a number of videos where people who are in uniform saying some crazy stuff. So, I mean, I don't know.
No, I was in the Department of the Army, and a lot of people have access to certain things. And when we moved equipment around, some of it's classified, obviously, but a lot of it isn't. But some people knew when something was moving, you could see the trucks going out. And somebody'd say, where they're going? And then they're like, yeah, they're going here. So that's how really some of that gets out. But this is disturbing to me, because if they can have this kind of success, it's demoralizing. And it's also, they're now going to be going Ali Ali snack bar,
Oh yeah, and then the media will start tomorrow, because now they'll divert very quickly away from all the election stuff and all the information that he put out. Today's pretty much the in between day. It's kind of a dead day, but tomorrow you got Face the Nation, State of the Union, all those talk shows come in on Sunday, and that's what they're all going to be about. And they're going to be, that's all they'll want to talk about, all over and over and over again. So be prepared.
Suddenly all those files just suddenly disappeared, in the news cycle.
Exactly.
Back to Epstein next week. All right.
Epstein.
Russia.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
For sure. All right,
okay.
SB, have a good evening. Thank you for your time again, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, everybody, let me do super chats, and then we can call it a Saturday evening. And thank you guys for showing up on a Saturday. Greatly appreciated. Let me see here. Let me get everything outlined. And here we go. Pekovsky, Eric Burden, War. Eric Burden sang that? Yeah. Okay. I know the song. I didn't know it was Eric Burden. Thank you. Starfleet, Jeremiah 49:34-39 contains a prophecy against Elam, which is Iran, an ancient region located in modern-day Western Iran. The text predicts the destruction of Elam's military power, the bow of Elam, the scattering of its people. Yeah, it's gonna get crazy. Alex is FO time. I believe we're past that. But yes, you are correct. Alec again, to catch orcs, you need to force them to the surface. 17. Brian Newland, I am all in until the end. I will fight. I survived July 3rd, 1988. Bring it on, DSA. You just poked the effing bear. Yeah, these communists, I don't think they realize what they're saying. They're too stupid. Linnell, you can't escape from a prison if you don't know you're in one. Well said. Thank you. Mr. Mike, in regards to Declaration Socialist, Barry, can we eat them now? I'm a hungry capitalist, and after hearing all this, I'm starving. Get in my belly. Absolutely. Buddy Sanders, ask Lincoln Riley's mom about New York City being a sanctuary city. Starfleet got a couple here. I do solemnly swear. Oh, this is the oath for the mayor. This must be for the mayor of New York. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of New York, and the Charter of the City of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the mayor of the City of New York according to the best of my ability. So help me God. I wonder when he said it, did he change the word God to Allah? My gosh. Yeah, so he said he would support the Constitution. So this whole thing about the ICC makes absolutely no sense. Deborah, Tuesday TV got fast passport. Trump did it, so channel came to Florida. UK messed with his content on war. Oh, where in Florida did he come? Yeah, I'd like to look him up. Linnell, these people are total theater kids. They are the result of not getting slapped in the mouth. Yeah, we all got that. Thank you. G. Fisher, do the Dems hate the Jews more than Hitler or just as much? Good point. Good question. Bielka, Madami want to put Ed in jail, but let the criminals, Netanyahu in jail, but let the criminals out of Rikers. Needs those votes. Alec, 1979 TV series America, they banned it. Wow, I did not know that. Pekoski, hat number 2 arrived today. All right, so if you got a second hat today, obviously you keep it. But my grandson was doing his best work shipping things out, so he might have printed an extra label. But that does tell me people got their hats, so that's great. G. Fisher, Trump is performing his own Save America Act. I think people are starting to realize that after what you've heard today, they know the laws. They are going to try and subvert every possible way. Alec, I hope M tries. That'd be reason to denaturalize him and send him home. Exactly. Chiosop for a couple. You should take away everything capitalist that they use in order to live their lives. Yeah, and see if it's still a great idea to be a communist. Capitalism makes the more production live better than the less productive, whereas communism makes everybody equal, miserable, regardless of performance. That's exactly what I was saying. Alec, this commie needs to get Pete's screening and treatment. Low T. Linnell, I've been buying land. I have 30 acres across 8 parcels here in Florida. I rent some of it out for hunting and camping. It's a good investment. But you're only going to be able to make 10%. That's it. No more. Nobody deserves more than 10%. Crazy. Absolutely insane. Congratulations, by the way. Chiosop, to whom much is given, much is expected. If you had success in your life, it's almost your responsibility to teach others the way to have success too. I completely agree. Neo, thank you for your truth. Madami to be charged and must end. Otherwise, my dog sneezing. The city dies. I pray daily. Satan is in DSA's collective mind. God bless Trump and the administration and servicemen in conflict. Especially tonight, I hope you guys hold everybody in your prayers because of what's going to be happening probably for the next couple nights. So pray for them, pray for America, and don't forget, pray for the innocent Iranian people who may be in harm's way because of the idiots they have leading their country. All right. Thank you, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Wow, another 3-hour show. Wow. Thank you.
you.